Best words in sports, Football Friday, right? A Football Friday never goes wrong, especially when you're here with Big Sills here on the National Football Show. Do me a favor, please hit the like button. Make no mistake about it, folks. Our good friends here at BetUS are powering us and making sure that we are powered by our friends at BetUS. Okay? We love the fact that we are powered by our friends at BetUS. Simple as that. Make sure you go to the website, check it out at betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. Also, the first 15 minutes of the program are some of the most important parts of the program because it spreads the word of the show. We appreciate you guys doing this. Please make sure you hit that like button. Thank you so much. We are packed once again. Our benchmark guys on Friday. Jason Cole's going to tell you if Eric Allen has made the final 10. That decision will be made on December 28th. If Eric Allen will be one of the final 10 that makes consideration for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Also, the legendary Philly Godfather wasn't on with us last week because of Turkey Day. He will be with us today, giving you the skinny on what's going to happen this weekend. That will be there. Xander's going to join us at 3:30 in his usual spot. Hit that like button. We appreciate you guys coming aboard, as we said here. Did you see that quarterback last night? What was the line in that game last night? When it came to Jared Goff, holy crap, was he sensational. What was the thing that he did last night that no quarterback in pro football history ever did? Here it is. Jared Goff completed at least 5 passes to 6 different wide receivers. An NFL first. I said it too, and I tweeted it. He's the difference between, quite frankly, the Eagles and the Lions. He's a better quarterback. Last night, 32 of 41, 283 versus the Green Bay Packers. 3 touchdowns, 78% completion percentage. This guy spreads the ball around. He spread the ball around against a pretty good Packer team. And by the way, the Lions on defense are missing just about every guy out there, and they still beat Green Bay. They still beat Green Bay. Wow, what a fucking team. By the way, Big Sills picked that team at the beginning of the year to be your Super Bowl champions. How you doing? Hey. So right now, he has 3,265 passing yards, 25 touchdowns, 109 quarterback rating, 73% completion percentage, and he's going to throw for 4,400 yards and 35 touchdowns. Damn! That's how you do it. Right there from the pocket. He's a pocket passer. Holy cow. Hey, yeah, look at Senor. Senor, all of a sudden now, the Packer defense is trash. And when the Eagles were flopping around in Rio or Sao Paulo, I guess that's not a good win, though, for the Lions last night, right? So I guess it's not a good win for you, too, right, Senorita? Right? I guess it's not a good win for you then either. Hey, Packer defense sucks, so that's not a good win either, right? Hey, right? That's a division foe. They play in the NFC North. NFC North. Yeah, oh, no. Hey, it's not a good win for the Eagles. Okay? It's not a good win for you guys. Well, no, it's not a good win for the Lions, but it's a great win for you. Dude, if you don't have the Packers on that schedule, the team that you beat with the great resume, in my opinion, is the Ravens. So you want to take the Packers off, that's fine. You beat one team then, according to you, that's worth the shit. I happen to think the Packer win for you is a good win. But since you don't think it's a good win for the Lions, then hey, it's not a good win for you. How you doing? Hey, how you doing? You see Jared Goff, man? This guy's gonna win the most valuable player award. That might win the MVP. Okay, he might win the MVP. He beats Josh Allen in a week. That guy's gonna win the most valuable player award. If they win home field and they go 16-1, do you agree? If Jared Goff, how about this one here? If Jared Goff leads a football team to 16-1, they get home field advantage, and Barkley goes for 2104, 2105. They're going to give the MVP award to Goff, not Barkley. Going 16-1, beating all those teams, getting home field advantage. They're going to give Jared Goff the MVP award, even if you break the record. How you doing? Look at this guy. Joey goes, MVP throwing screens. You mean like Brady, right? Or Mahomes, right? He's going to win the most valuable player award. Let's get the likes. First 15 minutes, my friends. Man, what a quarterback last night. All right. Enough of that. It's going to be an interesting ball game. By the way, we're going to give you our takeaways for this Carolina game on Sunday here in a minute, bud. So AJ Owens is back. And he's back. So I guess he deleted a tweet where he's out there and he's, what's the quote? Let me make sure I get the quote right here. I have to make sure I get the quote yet from AJ Owens here, because he's back. You only knew it would be a matter of time before AJ Owens is back. By the way, great ball player. I get it. But AJ Owens, here's the deal. So here it is. AJ Owens crying about his targets. There is only so much I can do. The guy's 10-2 and he's fucking bitching. Then he deleted it. We're going to need – some guy tweeted at him and said, we're going to need you. And so he adds on, there's only so much I can do. You're fucking 10-2. You're fucking 10-2. What are you crying about, guy? That's why he deleted it. He deleted it because he's 10-2. AJ Owens back at it again because he's not the star of the offense any longer. It's Saquon Barkley. I didn't think that would – I wondered who it would affect. Because everyone's got an ego. Look at McNabb. He couldn't take Deshaun Jackson being a Pro Bowler at two different positions. He was talking shit on him in Hawaii. He was talking shit on him. He didn't deserve to have both of them because he was the first guy ever. Which Deshaun Jackson talks about it. This guy's talking shit on me while I'm out here in Hawaii to my teammates on the Pro Bowl. And he's telling everybody I didn't deserve to be a special teams All-Pro and I didn't deserve to be a first team. And I'm like, why would a guy in your own fucking team talk shit like that to you? You know why? Because the ego. Because the ego. And I didn't think it would affect Hurts, and it didn't. I don't believe Jalen Hurts gives a shit about that. Okay? But I do believe AJ Owens does. I'm not the star? What do you mean I'm not the star? Of course I'm the star. I'm the star of the team. Everybody knows it. He's such a baby, man. Great player. But he whines a lot, man. Dude, you're 10-2. Who gives a fuck what you do? You're unstoppable on that slant right now. The only guy I've ever seen that can't be defended on that slant's Jerry Rice. What do you care? It's really ego. Hey, Sills, since you like passing quarterbacks, fine. Kick rocks and do your show on the Lions instead of the Eagles. Also, how many passing quarterbacks that didn't win? I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, douchebag. No idea what you're talking about. Some starting drama. AJ, it's fake news. No, it's not. He deleted that tweet. It's not fake news, dickhead. Don't tell me shit that I see a topic on and a guy does something and call it fake news. He did it. It's no fucking fake news, Nick. He did it. What's fake about it? What I'm saying? So much I can do. He's such a baby, man. Oh, my God. Hey, there's only so much I can do. No, you're doing enough. You're one of the best slant receivers I've ever seen. Stop moaning about your targets. Nobody gives a shit. Still, the wide receiver position is loaded with divas. That's what makes Smitty so special. Agreed. AJ's temperament is no different than any other wide receiver at this level. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. I want you to know that he's like them guys, though, Bob. I don't know. We're 10-2, and I can only do so much. What possibly more can you do? What possibly more? Stay healthy? Okay. Try that one. My target. It's like a guy with his pail and shovel on the beach, and you grab his pail, and he starts moaning about it. Big Sills took my pail. You're like, shit, dude, what do you care, man? You got 15 of them. He took my pail. Yeah. These guys are too much, man. Hey, man, I can't believe it. My pail. Holy cow. Sills, you and AJ got to go out for a beer sometime. Are you suggesting that we're a lot alike, Nick? Nick, are you suggesting that AJ Owens and me are alike? Shit talkers and braggers and guys who are constantly looking for attention? Nick, is that what you're saying? That me and AJ Owens have a lot in common? How dare you? How dare you say that? Hey, how dare you? I would have almost everything in common with AJ Owens. Absolutely. Oh, here's another one. Marino, Cunningham, Warren Moon, etc. Sills, they have been less talented quarterbacks who have won. I love you. Two douchebag. All love, douchebag to Sills. There you go. That's what I'm talking about, Ace. Ace knows the show. Way to go, brother. Happy holidays to you, my friend. Absolutely. I love that's great, Ace. Fire that shit back. Fire the cannons. That's what I like, Ace. People crawl away and under their desk and hide when somebody says some stupid shit to them. This ain't the show for you. Well, I can't believe you said that. This ain't the place for you. Okay, this is not. AJ is only 27. Hollywood, find another angle. Find another angle? I'm not there's no angle. He's a diva baby. I didn't get my targets. Only so much I can do. You're 10-2. What are you moaning about? Well, you're moaning because you're not the star of the offense any longer. That's what this comes down to. You know the kid that gets more attention in the room than the other guy? And the one guy who used to get all the attention doesn't get it any longer. And he's going, why are they looking at him? It's like McNabb. It's like the McNabb disease. That's what we're going to start calling it. AJ Owens has the McNabb disease. How come he's getting all the pub? How come he's getting all the flowers and love? He's the MVP? What about me? This team was nowhere without me. And you're like, okay, honey, don't worry. We love you too. That's why Nick's got to go around petting everybody on top of the head. Hey, Jalen is an MVP. AJ's our guy. Devontae Smith. Get this. Of all the guys in the huddle, who they take the most advantage of, it's Devontae Smith. They name him captain. Don't talk about him. And he is one of the best pros you have in your locker. I mean, of all the things, right? He's Philadelphia more than anybody else in that huddle. And he's the least guy that they talk about. He's Devontae Smith. That's why I love him. The loudest guy in the room is usually the weakest. It's funny, Sills, when you talk shit, a.k.a. truth on Jalen and AJ, the people of Philly don't want to hear it. That's what radio's for. But you give the facts. Hey, by the way, hey, did I say that it affects his play? No. Did I say that he's a lesser player? No. Did I say I wouldn't want him on my team? No. I played with Michael Irvin. AJ's nowhere near Michael Irvin when it comes to shit talking. Nowhere. Not even remotely in the room or in the area code of Michael Irvin. Do I like guys like that on my team? But Michael was talking shit to the other guys. He wasn't talking shit to the media going, well, I'm really disappointed that Emmett's getting all the love. I never heard Michael ever go, I can't, it's all I can do. You know, I'm not really getting anything here. It's all Emmett, and everyone's giving Emmett the flowers and not me. I never heard Michael ever do that ever. Never. I heard him talk shit on people. Okay? That's all right, though. It's probably not. It's the nothing burger. Does Howie move on from Goddard next year? God, I hope so. God, I hope so. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button. So, Sills, you just love to embellish shit about AJ, don't you? I didn't embellish nothing. It's what he did. There's only so much I can do. The fuck do you want me to make? There's nothing made up about that. Guy's 10-2. He's averaging 18 yards a carry. Or catch, excuse me. What do you mean, embellish? Embellish what? Oh, man. Sills Laurie should hire a retired player like Dawkins or Westbrook to shadow or chaperone these players, educate them on how to handle the deadly Philadelphia market, eliminates distractions. Okay? I thought they had Big Dom for that. Shit, now, Dom. Hey, Dom's like a movie star now. They want to make a movie over Big Dom. It's actually a great idea for a sitcom. Having Big Dom, like having a sitcom based on Big Dom babysitting your coach. Hey, by the way, let me say this to you about Dan Campbell versus Nick Sirianni. I don't know what it is, but why do I trust Dan Campbell more, and why do I believe Dan Campbell more? He just seems more genuine. That guy actually just seems more genuine. I don't know. Maybe it's because he's a former player or not. I don't know. He just seems genuine. I look at Dan Campbell and I believe him. I look at Nick Sirianni. I don't believe him. Now, again, this is 35,000 feet. I mean, I'm and maybe because we cover Nick more and I don't cover Dan more, and maybe I would have a different opinion if I was more knee deep into the Lions. But I don't know, man. It just, that guy seems like I like him more. Okay? To me, it looks, he's more believable. I believe him. Instead of hearing this, my guy's an MVP candidate. Hey, John, I mean, when you're talking about Jalen Hurts, what a phenomenal game he had throwing the ball for 105. Unbelievable. Even though Barkley had 302 total yards, my guy's an MVP. And you're like, wait, hang on. What? Is reading the defense a skill that can be taught? You'd think after all this time and repetition, Jalen would get it. That's the point. He's never getting it. Now, to the thing, he hasn't improved. He's taking sacks. And it's covered up by saying, well, he's handling the blitz. I don't believe he is handling the blitz. He still gets sacked at a higher rate now. It's kind of, and Barkley's greatness is covering the inefficiencies of the passing game. I know, get this, every single person we talk to, whether it's Xander, Philly 500, these guys all believe they're going to flip a switch. When they need it, they're going to pass the ball and win games doing it. I don't believe that. There's a reason you practice shit. There's a reason you do stuff. There's a reason you have the same things that you do each and every single week to make sure you get better and better at the things you do the best. The Eagles don't pass the ball well. And the only reason they're passing the ball to some extent well is because Barkley is creating one-on-ones on the perimeter. He still misses reads every single game. Go watch the 22. There's 7 or 8 plays you can watch that Hurts just doesn't go to, because you know what they're doing now? Now they're going to the RPO. Now, I'm okay with that. If there's guys, this is why AJ actually, all kidding aside, this is actually why AJ is now getting frustrated, because he's open. But they're running the RPOs. And I don't think that he's mad at Jalen. I think he's mad that Kellen Moore is going more towards the RPO. But I get this. I'm okay with that, because I think he's better at that. As a matter of fact, I told you this. He may be better at running that RPO than any guy I've ever seen. Okay. Threw a great touchdown pass off the RPO. Dude, look, if Owens is all moaning and crying because of targets and they're 10-2, I don't give a fuck what he thinks. I really personally don't. And he could come over to the sidelines bitching all he wants. And if he's coming over to the sidelines bitching at Jalen and you're up by 20 points, I tell that guy to go sit the fuck down. Go sit down. And if I was the head coach, I'd tell his ass to go sit down. Absolutely. And by the way, now they've implemented a fullback. What are they telling you? They're taking the third wide receiver out of the offense. They're more going to run the ball even more now in an I formation. Dude, adding a fullback is there for 2 things: max protection and also I formation running in between the tackles. That thing's not set up to help a passing game. It's there to put for the run game. They're adding more components to the run game now, not the passing game. I'd really like to know how that's going over in the front office, knowing how you spend all that dough and them wideouts and tight ends, and you're getting dick out of them. I'd really like to know how that's going over. You got a $15 million tight end you're not using. You got a $25 million wideout you're not using. And you got a $35 million wideout you're kind of using. I wonder how that's going on. I'd like to know what Doug Peterson would think of that. Sills, follow me here. This is not more system, but he's working with it. Yeah. Yes. If we could keep more next year, he should be able to develop an RPO system that can utilize AJ and Smitty and save Barkley. Absolutely. I completely agree with that. And by the way, I think one of the components adding into the fullback, I think that's either Kellen Moore or Nick. Hey, man, we're going to run the ball here. Dude, do you understand? When you add that fullback in, those are lesser passes coming. Those are lesser passes because you're trying to create another blocker for Barkley and Hurts in the run game. Hey, dude, do I believe that they can develop a good passing game off that RPO? Yeah, I do. I think Jalen's really good at it. I think they're really starting to morph to that, going, we're not going to run a traditional drop back. But what we are going to do is we are going to start implementing these RPOs to get the passing game going. Side by side, Hurts and Allen's numbers are damn near identical. So where's the disconnection in your mind? Because, Blaze, name me one player, and I'll say it again to you, Blaze. Name me one player in that offensive huddle that Buffalo could start anywhere in Philadelphia. He does it with lesser players and carries his football team on his back. It's all Allen. It's all Barkley. AJ. You have the best. You are your offense. You shopped at Neiman Marcus or Tiffany's. They shopped at the dollar store. There's the disconnect. He doesn't have A.J. Brown there. He doesn't have Devontae Smith. He has no Barkley there. He has no Dallas Goedert there. He doesn't have the top offensive line in football there. He has none of that. Zero. Has none of that. There's your disconnect. Okay? There's your disconnect. He doesn't need those guys around him. Okay? You shop, like I said, at Neiman Marcus for your players. And by the way, he's benefited from that his entire time. And what happened was, you know why in college he got replaced? Because you can have 5-star quarterbacks at Alabama 5 deep. You can in the NFL. Do you understand that? Xander was there for this. He was replaced because you know why? Alabama recruited a better player. And in college, you can have that guy. Back then, okay? Hey, once again, hey, at least he's getting beat by Lamar Jackson in playoffs. He's not getting beat by Baker Mayfield. Hey, you're right, dude. You're moving the sticks. You asked me what the disconnect was. I just told you. Thanks for the super chat. All of them go to the top. Think about what hit. Hey, think about that. You're telling me if you had Josh Allen on that Philadelphia Eagle team that they wouldn't replace Hurts with him. They would. Alabama, they did. And they replaced him. Did they lose any less? Jalen's such a winner. Alabama won more. I mean, what are we talking about here? You make it sound like, well, he's won every. Well, they replaced him with another guy, and Alabama went on to win even more. They didn't have a drop off. I get he won the SEC title, but Nick thought he wasn't good enough. Get this. He says college is different than pros. You're damn right, because like I said, I can have 5-star studded quarterbacks in college. Okay? You can't have them in the pros. You can't have 5 Jalen Hurts behind him. College, you can. That's the difference. You're damn right. Chip Kelly couldn't figure that out. Chip thinks he could run that offense. We had 100 guys, Chip. NFL, you have 53. That's the difference. Yes, you stockpile more talent in college than you do the pros. Alabama's got 10 5-star old linemen in case a guy goes down. That's why they constantly have to keep recruiting. In the NFL, you don't have 5-star old linemen. Xander, I missed the super chat here. I just missed the super, I think, here. They didn't have Barkley last year and had to pass to win them 10 games. He can't throw if he has to, and he has 1 game from the pocket. You're overhating, dude. Really? Well, last year, he third in interceptions in the NFL last year. Really? And there was a point prior to the bye, before they stopped throwing the ball, that he had 27 interceptions in 30 games, or 27 turnovers. Eagles would go undefeated with Allen. Correct. You say that Kellen hasn't improved Jalen. Maybe it's not Kellen. Maybe it's Jalen doesn't know what the F he's doing. No, I think they're figuring it. I think they figured it out. I think they figured it out since the bye. Get them in that RPO. They're running it at a 22% clip now, which is, dude, I don't have. I want that. That's the guy you paid for. The guy since the bye is the person you paid for. And I'm totally cool with it. He's never going to be, and comparing him to Allen and everyone else is a mistake, and I made it. You can't, because if they run the football the way that they're running the football right now, Hurts doesn't have to do anything. That's okay. Troy Aikman didn't really have to do a lot. Is that really a rip when you're 10? Hey, what the fuck do you care? You tell me all the time. What do you care what it looks like if you're 10-2? What do you care? If that guy's not Josh Allen or he's not Joe Burrow, what do you care if you're 10-2? What's there to fucking hate on when you're 10-2? What's the moan about it? Is he ever going to be those guys? No. He's a cheap man's version of Lamar Jackson. That I think is smarter in a game. I think Lamar plays too much hero ball. I don't think Jalen does that. Okay? I just don't. All right, let me go on to this one now. By the way, again, the difference last night with the Lions had a ton of injuries on defense last night, and they still ended up winning a game. And to show you what the passing game and the running game is about, I mean, when you took a look at the numbers last night, I mean, they were out. They were great across the board. And that's a pretty decent Packer team, man. That's a good Packer team. And I'm sorry, I know that it's not a good win for the Lions, and it's an exceptional win for you, whatever the hell that means. But once again, last night, I mean, what was it? I thought the Packer defense did a pretty decent job. I mean, the Lions only ran the ball for 111 yards in the ball game. And it was Goff that won that ball game last night. It was Jared Goff who won it. It wasn't the run game. It was Goff. That's why when you brought that stupid stat up, well, Jared had 85 yards. But that's a fucking anomaly, guy. That guy's not going to do that every week. I'm okay with something like that with him. Who cares? 5 interceptions even. If that guy's going to go out and be 12-1, and that guy's going to throw for 4,500 yards and 38 touchdowns in a season, that fucking guy's going to be able to have an offense that's going to be able to beat you by running the ball and throwing it in the air. You can't do that. Okay? You can't do that. All right, let's move on from that. I'm sick of this topic. All right. Let's go to this one here. So, how are you guys feeling about Nick Sirianni right now? How are you feeling about Nick right now, head coach of the Eagles? How are you feeling about him? By the way, we'll hit on his salad dressing presser that he had today, his salad lunch that he had today. Okay, I mean, I don't know what he said, but okay. Well, we'll talk about that salad lunch he had with the media today, and everybody was passing around kumbayas. So we'll talk about that. How you feeling about Nick right now? How do you feel about him? Nick's an asshole. Man, Ray is 10-2. Okay, I don't know what that means. How do you feel about him as your coach? Okay. How do you 15-year extension coming? As long as he does not make mistakes and keeps winning, great. Okay. Nick looks like he still doesn't know head coaching position and the gravity it comes with. It's why Nick gives out participation trophies and his lack of flow recognition, but I think Vic is helping Nick. I do too. I think there's some of that, Samuel. I think there's some of this. So I'm going to ask you a question here that's been going around Philadelphia, and I'll ask it. So after the 1-6 meltdown of a year ago and the 2-2 start, which what is that? Was it 3-8? Are you willing now to give Nick a pass because he's 10-2? That's not what I'm asking. That's not what I'm asking. So nice. Trying to read Big Sills. How about this? So you willing to give him a pass for what happened a year ago and the start on being 3-8? Giving him a pass like it never happened, right? If you're the Philadelphia Eagles and the Eagles win a Super Bowl, Are you keeping Nick and letting Kellen walk? Is that what you're doing? How are you going to handle that? So Kellen walks out, and you think you're going to hire another guy. Okay. How's that worked out? It's been hit or miss, right? It's been awful. It's been good. It's been great. Right now, we don't know what Kellen's done with the offense because we don't know how far you're going to go. And really, the passing offense, I still to this day, with my conviction, I do not believe it's improved. So what are you going to do? Kellen's going to get an opportunity. I'll tell you this. If, what's the team that runs the ball? Let me say this to you. If Kyle Shanahan moves on and you have a running attack like you do up in San Francisco, would you think about hiring Kellen Moore? I would. I would think about Kellen Moore in San Francisco. Why not? I would. If you're Chicago, you think about Kellen Moore? Dual threat quarterback? Kind of like Dak? Eagles are going to keep Nick, yes, especially if we win the Super Bowl. Ownership won't care. They've been recycling coaches since Laurie owned the Eagles. Okay, I missed the super chat here, Xander. Please, let's hit on that super chat. We got another one here behind this one, behind Jason here. Let me see here. Maybe I can hopefully bring this thing up here a little bit. Here it is. Hey, Sills, it's crazy to assume under the same concept that Jalen has the talent to do less that can also apply to Nick Sirianni with a new DC and OC. That's not true because last year he had lesser OCs and DCs and they fell apart. You're assuming that, and you guys have said they've upgraded with coordinators. Well, he didn't hire them. Howie hired him. He was said today in the press conference how Howie builds the team. He didn't hire them coordinators. Organization went out and hired him. He was on a hot seat last year. He wasn't fucking hiring any coordinators. You think Nick Sirianni hired those coordinators? You're out of your mind. Dude, one of the things we talked about in the offseason was that he had to come back with his head between his legs because of the nuclear meltdown he had. He didn't hire these guys. The organization hired him. So the only reason that Nick is benefiting is because they went out and got quality hires, not because Nick's a better coach. Nick's a better coach? Where? What gives you that indication he's a better coach? Or is it he has better coordinators? That's like telling me the offense is better with Kellen Moore than it was under Brian Johnson. Even though Barkley's the reason that the offense has improved, passing game hasn't. Passing game's almost 30th. I mean, what are you talking about here? And by the way, I think the Eagles are doing the most important thing that you can possibly do right now. You know what that is? They are taking advantage of a shitty NFC. Good for them. They are putting the biggest talented roster together that they possibly can because, quite frankly, I think it's two teams in the NFC and then nobody else. I think Green Bay is good. I think Minnesota's decent. And the rest of them, you can have them. Put them in a hat, and the rest of those 5 teams can fight it out for 3rd and 4th place in the NFC. You know, the quarterbacks are over in the AFC. You can get beat any week over in the AFC because of the quarterback play. The quarterback, who's the top quarterback in the NFC right now? If you were going to rank the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFC, and you could put Hurts in there if you want, who would be the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFC? Let's see. Right now, and you can't count Dak. Who are the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFC? Let's see. Golf. Okay. Jalen. Sure. Love. Okay. Who else? Darnold? Mayfield? I want you to do that. Let's do that for a second. Okay? Let's do the NFC. Let's rank the top 5. Let's not get crazy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. QBs. And how about this? 7. Because there's 7 playoff spots. So let's do the top 7 quarterbacks in the NFC. Okay? So we go golf. Let's go Jalen Hurts. Who's third? Who's third? Darnold? Or no, Love. We'll go Love. Stafford 4. Okay. The rookie Daniels. So you got a rookie in the top 7. Okay. Kyler Murray. Who's 7? Mayfield. So here's your top QBs in the NFC. Golf, Hurts, Love, Sam Darnold, Stafford, Murray, and Mayfield. Here's the AFC. Mahomes, Allen, Jackson, Herbert. Got to put a rookie in there. What are you going to put? Bo Nix in there? Oh, wait, Stroud. Who else would you put in there? In the AFC. So we got Mahomes, Allen, Jackson, Herbert, Stroud. Who else? Wilson? Okay, Russell Wilson. Super Bowl winner. One more we need. Burrow. Well, no. Because, Burrow's playing, but he's probably not going to make the playoffs. But if you want to put Burrow in there, all right, let's put Burrow in there. But I'd like to have a guy who's going to be in the postseason. So who else? Nix? Bo Nix? Okay, we'll put him there. So here's the quarterbacks you have to go through in the playoffs in the AFC. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, C.J. Stroud, Russell Wilson, Joe Burrow, and a rookie, Bo Nix. We'll put that in there. That's 8. Here's in the NFC. Golf, Hurts, Love, Stafford, Darnold, Murray, and Mayfield. I mean, it's night and day. And the Eagles have taken complete advantage of that. Great. Not a rip. Got a rip. Not a rip. Not a rip. And for the record, I think Detroit and Philly probably have the best rosters. Here, let me make it here. Here, let me put it to you this way. Watch this one here. Let's see where Jalen Hurts would be ranked in the AFC. Seals, I didn't say that I'm saying he's succeeding like how Hurts is with the talent. I'm not saying he's good. He doesn't have to do much. I get it. Ace, I got it. Ace, help me out here on this. Where would you rank Jalen Hurts in the AFC if he was playing for the Jets, say? Let's see. Would you rank him ahead of Justin Herbert? No. Jackson? No. Allen? No. Burrow? No. Mahomes? No. Stroud? No. Where? Russell Wilson? Probably. Maybe. We'll find out next week. Bo Nix? Probably. Dude, don't kid yourself. When you don't play against the greatest rosters in the AFC, you play against the best quarterbacks in the AFC. And quarterbacks win Super Bowls. Rosters don't. Take a look at the last 2 Super Bowls. The last 2 Super Bowls, best rosters lost. Niners and Eagles. Because why? One guy. Are you trying to tell me Kansas City was more talented as a roster than 49ers and Eagles in the last 2 Super Bowls? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. How many guys in that Kansas City huddle could start as a skilled position player? Nobody, except for Travis Kelce. Nobody. None of the wideouts, one tight end, and obviously the quarterback. They've got Humphrey, and they got another guard in there that are pretty good in the O-line. They're good in the O-line. The quarterback makes them better. Okay? I mean, you're making it sound like that offense looks a lot like Brady's offense. Have dudes at wideout, a great tight end, and an effective running back. That's how Brady won Super Bowls. He didn't win them with elite wide receivers. There was actually nobody elite on Tom Brady's offense as a skill set player in New England. Nobody. Nobody was elite except the tight end. Think about that. And Brady never played with a first-round draft pick that won Super Bowls as a skill set guy. Brady wasn't. There was not one first-round draft pick that they won Super Bowls with as an offensive skill set players. Once again, Dickhead and Reyes, they didn't win a Super Bowl with Moss. They didn't win a Super Bowl. Every time they bring Moss up, it shows your ignorance. Moss doesn't own a Super Bowl ring. Moss doesn't own a Super Bowl ring. Okay? He owns accolades. I mean, accolades. Right? Your dumbass trusts Campbell in golf. These two were the reason they got knocked off. What was the reason that you fell apart last year? Or was it, wait a minute, not your coach, right? But all of a sudden you've given him a pass because he's 10-2. Oh, like you got to love Eagle fans. Like it never happened. His shitty indecision and his meltdown. Hey, everybody's a front runner. This reminds me so much of last year. Everybody's a front runner. Eagles, go Birds. They're playing great. They're playing great. Sills, doesn't it seem Dan Campbell look like he trusts his players more than Nick on 4th down? Because if you have to say, I trust you so much, it makes me skeptical. Anyway, Ben Johnson, new head coach. Absolutely. That's a great take. They don't have to fucking talk about their toughness. They are tough. You don't have to talk about trust with players. That's the word salad bullshit that Nick Sirianni does. Get this. And what does that mean? 44-19 and 10-2. What and Nick? And what? What does it mean? Tell me what that means to you, Nick. Tell me what that means to you. You know what it means to me? Not living up to the final execution of going through the tape. That's falling short to me. It's not to you. That's not falling short. 44-19. I wonder how Nick Saban would look at that with no titles, 44-19. How do you think he would look at that, Xander? How do you think a guy like Belichick or Saban, if you're going to start comparing him to those guys with that record and the win percentage that the media is doing, how do you think those championship coaches, you know what he is to me right now? He's Marty Schottenheimer. Marty Schottenheimer's 4th all-time in wins. 4th. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Marty's got one of the greatest coaching records in pro football history. All-time coaching wins. Legendary all-time NFL coaching wins all-time here. Here you go. Let's see. I want to be correct. Marty Schottenheimer, 7th on the all-time list of wins. Campbell has no titles yet. You praise him because I trust him. Let's see here. So, Marty Schottenheimer is 200 wins and 126. Okay? He's got more wins than Chuck Noll. So, Marty must be a better coach than a guy who won the Super Bowl 4 times, according to you. Is that right? Right? He's got more wins than Mike Tomlin, so he's better than Tomlin, right? He's a better coach than Parcells, Marty Schottenheimer. Bill's got 172 wins and Marty's got a higher win percentage. So he must be better, right? Okay. So Marty Schottenheimer's a better coach than Joe Gibbs, Bill Cowher, Marv Levy, Paul Brown, Tony Dungy, Dick Vermeil, George Allen, John Madden, Vince Lombardi, Bill Walsh. Must be better because he's got more wins. No titles. So what's that record mean to you? Just trying to figure out what we're going here and where we're going. When you keep bringing that record up, what does that record mean to you? Joseph says nothing. So, Joseph, do you want a coach who has a great postseason win? Or do you want a guy who wins a lot of regular season games? Where are we going? By the way, I think the regular season record has a lot to do more with an organization than I do a head coach. Unless the head coach has total say like Bill did, Bill Belichick, or a guy like Mike Tomlin, or a guy like John Harbaugh. Every time they bring those things up where Nick Sirianni is like Mike Tomlin, no, he's not. Mike Tomlin handpicks his own staff. I know that for a fact because 2 of my teammates told me how the interview process went in Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin calls you on the phone, brings you in, interviews you, talks to you, takes you out to dinner. You spend a week in Pittsburgh. Then what he does, if he wants to, the organization vets him. Then the front office gets a hold of him. They talk to him, and if they all can work together, they end up getting Mike's guy for him. And 95% of the time, Mike gets who he wants. They don't do that in Philly. That's not how that works. They handpick those coordinators. You know this. We don't have to go over this anymore. Mike Tomlin handpicks his guy. John Harbaugh handpicks his guys. Jim Harbaugh handpicks his guys. They have complete autonomy over their organization. They're nowhere near the same. This is a legit concern I have. And out the head coach is the first quarter plays. That's called preparation. And when you have to face superior teams, that's not a lot of wiggle room for mistakes. We'll see how that's going to play out. By the way, think about what you just said. They spend the entire week on that first 15 plays. Okay? Dan and Nick, both gambling coaches who haven't won shit. Yet you trust Dan more than Nick, who actually got a Super Bowl. You're funny. He doesn't have a Super Bowl. Okay? He's been to one. Okay? Dude, I mean, he's been to a Super Bowl. So is John Fox. He's been to a Super Bowl. Lovie Smith's been to a Super Bowl. Do you have trust for those guys too? Do you trust those guys as head coaches to win you games? I mean, says, I'm disappointed in you. I expected 4 hours of killing AJ. Your age is catching up with you. That fastball coming in like a beach ball. Hey, Twiz, you know why you can't talk too much shit on AJ Owens? Because he produces. Even though he's a bitch, he produces. It's a modern wide receiver. It's all good. Dude, you knew his ego was going to get the best of him eventually, because he was going to start crying about the fame that Barkley's getting and all the pub that Barkley's getting. Absolutely. Okay? Let's see here. Players trust Nick. Doesn't matter if you do. Okay. Hey, funny, Andrew. Andrew is the prime example of out of mind, out of sight, out of sight, out of mind. Things are going good. Where was he last year when shit was hitting the fan? He had no answers. Now things are going good again. Nick's the ultimate front runner. Things are going good. Great. By the way, if, like I said yesterday, AJ and Devontae don't get hurt, you're still throwing the ball. Barkley forced your hand with his exceptional year. No one else. Or they'd still be throwing it. You know why I know that? They do it at the start of every game. They do it at the start of every game. Barkley will go for a 12-yard run. All of a sudden, they got three passes. Why? Because they want to get the passing game going. And now they know they can't, so they revert back to what? They run the ball. Hey, they have not gotten over it yet. Barkley has made it so difficult for them as coordinators. He's taken the playbook out of their hands, Saquon Barkley. Now they're putting a fullback in, taking the third wideout out, running the ball more, throwing less. Why? Because the player in the backfield, rightfully so, is making them. You think Jeffrey Lurie and those guys want a 1925 offense? Hell no. Okay? Rat says I didn't read his super chat, Xander. Apologize if I didn't, dude. We'll see if we get to it here. I apologize. Seals, the record is nice, but it won't mean more. It would mean more if Barkley was homegrown. Championships matter more. I know Marino told you records, but I'm with you on that, Bob. I'm okay. I'm with you on that. Records are fleeting. Let's see here. Let's see what Xander says here. Fake news. He didn't send. Okay. Hey, Rat. Xander keeps an eyeball on that. Jesus, criminy. This guy's trying to get a super chat read. All supers go to the top, except when you're rat poison. That's his new name, rat poison. Nice job. Everybody spends their hard-earned money to get the super chats in here, and here comes a guy in here trying to butt in line. Give me a break, guy. Hey, rat poison. That's your new name. Every time I see you, rat poison. There, you got your sex. You've got your 17 seconds of fame. Hey, there's your 17 seconds. It's either rat fuck or rat poison. Pick one. Here's my boy Twiz. Me and him, man. You're my boy, dog. I don't think he understands what's going on here with rat poison. Okay? If we run Barkley from the get-go, should have the record and the rushing title in the third quarter. Hey, Charlie, run the damn ball you know what I would do? I would run the ball in that first quarter, and I would pray that somebody would say this: stop it. Let me stop it. Dude, the Eagles stop themselves because they want to throw the ball. Hey, let me ask you something. You tell me if this is good coaching by Nick Sirianni. You spend all week coming up with the best 25 plays you can. And the only part of the game that you have a say in the game and in the game plan is the preparation in the first 15 to 25. And it's failed all season. You think he's a good coach? Or do you think they have to resort back to doing shit they don't want to do? Handing it to Barkley. And that's why Nick has to go out there on some sort of like world tour promoting Jalen Hurts. I mean, you're not reading that way. Of course you're not. By the way, let's put it this way. Why can't they just accept who they are? They might win the Super Bowl. They might win the Super Bowl. Nick took a 4-win team to the playoffs his first season and a Super Bowl appearance his second. He needs to work on not being a fool at the mic, but he's won for us. Yes. And yes, but my question to you. So Devin, okay. You answer this then for me, Devin. Thanks for that. I appreciate that. So let me ask you, Devin. So all the missteps at the beginning of the season, the meltdown of a year ago, you gave him a pass. You're back on board with him being your coach. Is that cool? No. You spent $200 on Pornhub. Wrong place. Pornhub. Hey, rat poison. Pornhub. You're mistaken. Pornhub. You spent $200 on, not on JAKIB. Okay. Pornhub. Yeah. You know, and the one porn that you chicks with a stick. Sorry, it's the holidays. I have to behave myself. Sorry. All right. I'm going to get to my takeaways here in a minute. Oh, my God. Hey, I swear to God, he spent $200. No, Pornhub. How much? Hey, how come Sills knows how much that costs? Your girl told me. That's why. Hit the like button. How you doing? Hey, come on now, man. It's the holidays. I want to be in a good way now, man. It's a football Friday too. Let's not go off the rails until later. Okay? B. Costello, way to go, dude. We're good. Hey, Paisan. Hey, Bona Fortuna, my friend. Bona Fortuna. No. M. Reyes, I hear you're very popular in the Tenderloin District there in Frisco. How you doing? Sills, I've never seen an organization of champions grade on wins and not hardware. It tells you soft we've become with 44-19 with no rings as your only defense. Hey, we have silver medals everywhere. Samuel, correct. Hey, I even got a guy who comes on at 3:30, takes victory laps at December 6th. How you doing? Hey, you sure we're the best team in football? Okay, I know. We got the best roster of football. We're going to kick the shit out of everybody. Everyone, I'm going to nail everyone to the cross. They talk shit on my Jalen. Who talks shit on my Nicky? Okay, you think Nick Scarfo was a guy in Philly? Fuck, man. Nick Sirianni, man. This guy's the ultimate boss. Nick and Scarfo used to be the boss. Sirianni's the ultimate boss. How you doing? I'll Philly my ass. Oh, yeah. Okay. Hey, no. Xander says he's going to kick my ass at the bottom of the hour. You know how you can't? You got nothing to show for it. You got nothing to show for it. You can tell me all the fucking wins, all the records, all this and that. You got nothing. Zero. Nothing. No rings. The only ring you got is a ring around the toilet bowl. And you lose, so it goes those games. You're 2-3 in the playoffs, too. You gagged away a Super Bowl. I mean, what else? Where are we going? 44-19. Oh, okay. Congratulations for you. Way to stand on the podium. Hey, they give medals like that out at the Olympics. They also give medals out at the Olympics for curling. You know the thing you skate and you're really good at? I mean, that thing. Hey, you have nothing. Well, we're the best team in the NFC. Jesus criminy. Have you not been the best team in the NFC for 3 years? Okay. Eventually, someone's going to go underachieving. Let me ask you this. And I'll ask this question again. So let's ask this as an organization. You think the Philadelphia Eagles under Jeffrey Lurie, one more time, is over or underachieved? Over or under? Have they over or underachieved under the ownership? Here. That's right. That's right. What's your metric? Some of you, it's 44-19. Me, it's postseason coaching. Okay? It's postseason coaching. They've underachieved. Well, wait a minute. Not everybody's going to win the Super Bowl. I know. It just so happens that when you get a great organization, I mean, get this. You know why the Giants aren't winning? Giants don't have good fundamentals in the front office anymore. They had it with George Young, and they had it with Jerry Reese, and they had it with Tom Coughlin. They've gotten away from that. But they got more Super Bowls than you. The Washington Redskins, they got away from a guy like Joe Gibbs. And they got away from Bobby Beathard, who used to help Bobby. It used to be Bobby Beathard and Joe Gibbs. James Jones knows this better than anybody. When you have great front office people and great head coaching, and that's what the dynamic that they have in Kansas City right now, like they had in New England. Great quarterback, great coordinators, Andy and Spags, and a great GM. If you don't have all four of those, you can't win. Look at Green Bay. Great quarterback. Great coach. General managers? It's by committee in Green Bay. They don't answer to anybody. They don't have an owner. That's always been an issue in Green Bay. If you don't have the right GM and you don't have the right assistant coaches and coordinators, you're not going to win. That's why Green Bay has underachieved. How can you have three quarterbacks for almost 40 years, win all those games? Dude, nobody's won more than Green Bay in the last 35 years. Nobody. Green Bay, and they got 2 Super Bowls to prove it. One under Favre and one under Rodgers. Really? That's bullshit? Well, they've only had 3 quarterbacks in the last 40 years almost. 17 years with Favre, another 15 with Rodgers, and you have another, what is it now? 4 years, 3 or 2 years under Jordan Love. Green Bay, Packers, year in and year out. Let's see here. Green Bay. How many losing seasons have they had? 1, 2, 3. Okay, since 1991, Green Bay has had 1, 2, 3, 4. They've had 5 losing seasons since 1991. And they've won 2 Super Bowls in that time frame. Okay, 5 losing seasons. Take a look at that. So in the last 33 years, they've had 5 losing seasons, 2 Super Bowls. They win a lot of games. Okay? A lot of games. Sills, records aren't meant to be broken. 44-19 means nothing, but champions last forever. Do you think the Bills care about win records when they were 0-4 in the Super Bowl? Unfortunately, they don't. But that was a great accomplishment. They won 12 games every year that season. Those years, 12 games. Some of them, I think there was a 10-win season. I think there was a 13-win season. And this is when they played 16 games. They had a really great record during that time, but they didn't close the deal. It's one of the greatest accomplishments. You'll never see a team go to 4 Super Bowls in a row. This Kansas City team has a shot at it. But, I mean, just think about what they are going through right now just to get to 3. I mean, right now, get this. I think the Miami Dolphins are the last team to get to 3, and I think the New England Patriots have gone to 3 in a row. But there's been very few teams go to 3 consecutive Super Bowls. The Dolphins in the 70s went to 3. They lost the first one, and then they won 2 on the backside. And one of those years, they were undefeated in that process. That's why that Dolphins team is the greatest team of all time. It wasn't just that they had a year where they were undefeated. They went to 3 straight Super Bowls. This guy says the talent's better now. The talent's better now, but the teams aren't. Back then, you could keep your guys for 15 years. Same guys. You can't do that today. So the teams were better, fundamentally better. The talent is better today, no question. But the teams aren't. You couldn't move. If they had a great player, you were there for your entire career. There was no salary cap. There was no free agency. You couldn't move. That's why the NFL didn't have mediocrity like they have now in the game. Right now, they have mediocre teams in the league, and half the league stinks. You know why? Well, because of free agency. Free agency rips these teams apart. If you're a good player on a shitty team, you're not staying there. Back in the day, if you're OJ, you're with the Bills, and you're stuck there for your entire career. It's what it is. Okay? I mean, the teams were way better. They had more Hall of Famers on them. But you can't keep that in some extent. It's harder to build a championship team today than it ever has been. That's why, look, I asked you that question for a reason, because you have to put that into context too with the Eagles. Eagles are 44-19 in a salary cap era. Is that good? No, it's fucking great. It's fucking great. 44-19 in the 80s and 90s, they probably have 3 Super Bowls. You're not letting TJ Edwards go. He couldn't go anywhere. You're not letting Javon Hargrave go. He couldn't go anywhere. You're not letting Marcus Epps go. He couldn't go anywhere. You would have been able to stockpile teams like you did in the 90s with the 49er teams. If the Eagles didn't have a salary cap, they'd win 3-4 Super Bowls. You'd probably win a Super Bowl every other year. But because of the salary cap, that's what makes what Belichick and the Patriots did insane. They had a roster change every year. And they won every other year. Every other year they won. You understand that? Brady went to 10 Super Bowls in New England. Played 20 years. That means every other fucking year he was in the Super Bowl in New England. In the salary cap era. Unbelievable. Never see that again. Never see that again. Seriously, if the Eagles were in the 90s, during the Cowboy era, you probably had 3-4 Super Bowls. Because Howie would be able to stockpile. You can't win Super Bowls today. Look at how he changes the roster over every other year. Look at the amount of free agents you have coming up this year. You guys are saying sign everyone. Hey, man, that doesn't work like that. You got 53 guys. Not everybody's going to be a rock star. Do you know half the league is undrafted players? Did you know that? Half of the NFL's 2,000 players are undrafted. Did you know this? Okay, I mean, what did you get? Look, look at the stars on your team now. Shit, Reed Blankenship wasn't drafted, right? You get a guy like Kurt Warner, you find him, he's undrafted, and that guy goes on to win the Super Bowl MVP, and he's an MVP of the league. Tony Romo was undrafted. Shit, your left tackle was a 7th rounder. The league is made up of undrafted guys, half of it, and late round draft picks. Jason Kelce was a 6th rounder. I mean, you can't pay everyone. Steel's 44-19 in the salary cap era is awesome. It's fucking unbelievable. However, but the other shoe will drop. Look at the deferred money in the franchise over the next few years. How he really is going to have to do his homework and most likely have to cover it in the draft. Bob, that's right. That's why what I would do, you might let Josh Sweat roll and draft a guy because that money, or you got to figure out how to get out of that Bryce Huff deal. The Bryce Huff deal, the Slade deal, and the Bradbury deal are going to return some money to you. And you're going to be able to move some of that shit around because that's useless money. The Eagles are spending probably what? $20 million, $11 million, and another $7 million. You probably got around $38 million worth of money that's non-productive. I'd even move up with Gardner Johnson and that $8 million he has. I got guys back there that I feel comfortable with, and I got Vic Fangio. And I'd get younger over there. Dude, I think what you have right now on defense, you got a coordinator that's going to retire an Eagle. So I would take full advantage of that. I'd get the players that fit him perfectly. Zone cover guys, edge rushers. I'd get that guy whatever he wanted. But I'm not doing it through free agency. I'm going to do it through the draft. Build it up. You know why? He's 70 years old. This guy's got 3 years as a coordinator left in Philly. Then you pass that shit off to a guy. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you pay Clint Hurt. He's not going to be around if you let him walk out. He's going to be a coordinator somewhere. Maybe he's the heir apparent. Okay? Maybe he's the heir apparent to being the coordinator in Philly. Okay? No, I don't believe Gardner Johnson brings the grit to the team. I think it's Cooper DeJean that brings the grit to the team. I disagree with that. Dude, personally, to me, I think the team looks better when DeJean was put in after the bye as a starter. Once he was put in, the team changed. The attitude of the team changed. I just think there's no doubt that those two guys have changed the landscape. Mitchell and DeJean have changed the attitude. By the way, I will say this about your Eagles this year. There's no question. I even heard Nick say today. Last year, I thought it was a labor to get to 11 wins. Right now, I think it's a joy to get to 10. And they can't wait. To me, it looks like the Eagles can't wait to show up to work every day. Last year, I think they dreaded it. That's been an observation for me. Has been that they look like they enjoy going to work and can't wait to get to work every day. Okay? Last year, I thought it was a grind. By the way, they've upgraded in numerous places. Think about it, where they've upgraded. Left corner from a year ago. Look at where they've upgraded. Left corner, both backers, right guard, running back. Okay? Slot safety, corner, I should say. Where they haven't, well, they've upgraded because of production. At edge because of sweat. Okay? But they really haven't got the production because you lost 11 sacks. As of right now, you've lost 11 sacks. What edge rusher outside of sweat is going to get you 11 sacks? How many? Those threesome, Alex Hunt, Nolan Smith, and Josh Sweat. Like I said in 22, you guys keep saying that you don't have better pass rushers today. Because you had BG, he had 11, Sweat had 11, and Reddick had 16. That's 38 sacks. In 24, you're probably going to get 11 out of Sweat, 6 out of Smith, and how many out of Hunt? 4? It's 21 sacks on the edge versus 38 and 22. You're nowhere near it. You're nowhere near that. And interior-wise, Hargrave had 11. Fletcher had 6. So you had 17 sacks between the starters. This year, you're going to get what? 10? Between Davis and Carter? Okay? That was a good pass rushing defense in 22. A better pass rushing defense and put more pressure on you, which in turn made the secondary better. Sills, you the man, my brother. Don't listen to the fake fans that pay monthly subscriptions without cannoli grinders. Thank you, Martin. You're a good man, man. I appreciate you. Hey, fuck those guys, man. I don't give a shit about them. By the way, after a while, you treat people sometimes that are jerks like a box of rocks. Hey, to me, man, it's very simple to do that too. Do you know how many people that I end up putting in my box of rocks? You know what that means? I pay no mind. I used to not have that box. Now I do. You don't want to be in that box because that means I don't give a shit what happens if you're hit by a bus or not. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care. Sills, what do you think of Michael Clay? Because we talked about Kellen, but Clay looks like he's improved the special teams. He has. And for the record, Merrill Reese brought his name up. Let me say this to you. I'm going to show you this. Here are the coaches in the past that have had special teams backgrounds that have gone on to be great coaches. Marv Levy, John Harbaugh, Joe Gibbs, Dick Vermeil. These guys all started in the special teams area. Would he make a good coach? Remember something, what he does too. Remember something what Michael Clay does as a coach compared to what Kellen and what Vic Fangio does. What's the one disadvantage that Michael Clay has that those guys have an advantage over him? Do you know what it is? What's the one advantage, before we get to Xander, what's the one advantage that Vic Fangio and Kellen Moore have over Michael Clay? They run, obviously, the defense. He runs the offense. And Clay runs the special teams. What's the one difference? Bill Cowher, too. That's right, special teams. Remember this. Special teams has the lesser of the talent on the roster. And he's got to make that unit a success using the backups. It's backups that makes his unit. There's no backups with the defense and offense. Those are the frontline guys. Michael Clay, as a coach, has to make chicken shit into chicken soup every week. Do you think that's a skill set? I do. Getting the best out of lesser players. Hey, everybody, when you look at special teams coaches and you don't really put a high emphasis on them, you don't realize how talented they are. They take the lesser dude and make them a better player. They turn C students into B students every single day. It's quite a testament. They always are dealing with the lesser guys. Shit, I haven't even got to my takeaway here for this shitty game on Sunday with the Carolina Panthers. Holy cow. Hey, I'm not going to be telling my football team on a Friday, hey, let's make sure we go out there and play hard on Sunday. If you don't fucking know that by now on December 6th, you got a problem. If you let off the gas on December 8th and you don't go in there and play your ass off, you got a problem. And that's not a coaching issue. That's a player issue. Get off the bus, get back on the bus, go home, get ready for Pittsburgh. Take care of business. We'll hit on that a little bit here. All right. Woo, boy, I tell you what. You know what we like to do here? We like to get the wide out. Eagle fans like to get the wide out. That never happened. That never happened. That never happened. Wait, Sills, don't bring that up. Are you crazy, man? Give me the wide out. That guy have a meltdown. No, this never happened. This never happened. It never fucking happened. Wait a minute. Did that guy have a nuclear meltdown last year? No. You saw a mirage. Oh, okay. The 2-2 start. No. He's 10-2. You crazy? He's the coach of the year. So you've given him a hall pass. All right. Out of sight, out of mind. 10-2. Love it. Hey, and where you get a ton of that bullshit is my next guest. Folks, the co-host, our friend of Birds 365, it is our friend, Xander Betsy Krause.
What's up, Big Sills? Football Friday, baby.
You.
It's treating me amazing. 8 straight. What a game that was last night, by the way. Eagles are not the only good team in the NFC, everybody. Those were 2 good football teams last night. Nice day, Sills. How you doing?
You made an interesting comment before we went on the air. You said this, and it's an astute, believe it or not, take by you. You said this.
One of many.
That team won with all the deficiencies on that side of the ball defensively, with all the faces not out there. And they went out there against a pretty good Packer team and shut that offense down, which has been pretty good over the last month and a half. And you're right. That comes back to coaching, man. And that comes back to that coaching staff. Xander, you see a lot of similarities between Nick and Dan Campbell. I don't know, man.
I don't.
You don't really? There's something.
I see about basically zero. I mean, other than that, they're both aggressive.
Tell me why.
Well, I think they're different types of coaches. They resonate with their players in completely different ways. And I don't like that everybody just wants to compare the two because they're both aggressive. By the way, if they were racing in that regard, then Dan Campbell's won that too because he went for it on his own 31. He didn't give a shit what anybody said. And we can sit here and criticize it right now. He still won't give a shit. So he won that race too. Look, I like Dan Campbell.
That's a fucking fucked up.
I know Eagles fans don't want to hear that. I like Dan Campbell. I like Dan Campbell a lot. He is a cool coach. He is fun to watch. And look, he does some crazy things, but he believes in what he believes. And You know, he's willing to live with those results regardless of what they are, and I can respect the way he does that. Now, Nick, you know, maybe I was too critical of him because that's what he was trying to do, but here's the difference. Nick got a little bit of shit in Philly. What's he done recently now?
I don't know. What has he done?
He's going for it less, right? Wouldn't you say?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So a couple peeps from, you know, some Big Z and Big Sills on YouTube, and Sirianni backs off. Dan Campbell had to sell his multi-million-dollar house because Detroit looted it because he was too aggressive last year. He don't give a shit. This was personal for him. When it's not just him, it's his wife, his kids.
They were putting for sale signs on his front
He did.
lawn.
He sold his home. He moved. So my point is just like, this guy sticks to his guns. He doesn't give a shit. You can kick him out of his own damn house. He doesn't care. He's sticking to what his guns. And I can respect that, but really good football team. And now, with that being said, I am going to give you some flack on your take on Nick earlier on the show.
Okay.
I think you're giving him an obituary too early here. I mean, you're not wrong in that his win percentage means nothing. But before you jump in, can I give you a list of coaches real quick? Don Shula. Is he the greatest NFL coach of all time? No, I'm not saying these coaches to compare Nick to them. I'm not. I'm more doing how far off are we from ever even being considered in that conversation. I'm not comparing Nick to those guys. Don Shula, winningest NFL coach of all time. He had 10 seasons before his first Super Bowl win. Bill Belichick, second winningest coach of all time. 7 seasons before his first Super Bowl win. Andy Reid, a fan favorite in Philly. Coach here for 14 years. 21 seasons before his first Super Bowl win. Tom Landry, your wife's favorite, if I'm not mistaken. That was who your wife liked back in the day?
Correct.
12 seasons before his first Super Bowl win. Now, I'm not saying Nick's ever going to get there. And I respect that you're like, I need to see it first. But I'm not ready to say Nick is not a good coach. Right now, he's done a pretty good job. He's got his moments, but he's learning, man.
That's a great metric.
It is, right? I mean, those coaches are – now, there's coaches out there who won earlier, but look, Mike Tomlin won his 3 years in the league, and he hasn't won one since what? 09, 010? When was the last one they won? The Steelers. The Steelers.
He hasn't won a playoff game in 9. I mean,
I'm just saying, like I said, that doesn't necessarily mean, I'm saying that Nick is going to get there. It's a hard thing to get there. But I'm not going to judge who he is as a coach yet. I'm just going to judge the right now. And he does make some mistakes, but all in all, it's been pretty good.
Okay. Every one of those coaches you mentioned, though, had complete autonomy of their direction and their own history, where they were picking their coaches, the personnel. They were picking many things and style of play, everything that they wanted. You know how you know that with Shula? Shula went from a dominant running attack with Larry Zonka and Kick and Mercury Morris. All of a sudden, 5-10 years later, he gets Dan Marino. You know why he was able to flip the switch? He didn't have to go upstairs and talk to fucking Jeffrey Lurie or Howie Roseman that they were going to change a mentality. You know what they did? He changed it because they got Marino. And that's why that transition. Here's what I think happened here. And Nick even said it today. You know what aggravates me the most about Nick? Can I tell you, it was said today at his presser.
I don't like him being a child, but go ahead. You give me yours.
Okay. I don't like when he says this roster that Howie builds. Dude, it should be together you're building it. It shouldn't be Howie's total say on what Parcells had a famous line that said this: hey, dude, you want me to go shopping, but yet you don't want me to pick out the items at the grocery store.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
It's like a little kid. You bring them along for the ride. They don't have any say in the process. It's weird.
I hate when I heard him say that again today, that, hey, Howie does a great job of building the roster. Now, look, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have a personnel guy, but dude, name me a place where the personnel department is completely in charge and the head coach has no say. Shit doesn't go along. Ozzie Newsome used to come on my show all the time when he was the GM of the Ravens. And I asked him, by the way, we also had Kevin Colbert on about 2 years ago, who was the GM of the Steelers. You know what he said on this show? Mike Tomlin doesn't work for me. I work with Mike Tomlin. And in the offseason, I do these interviews, Dan. You know that. During the season, I'm never to be seen, and I never do interviews because that's Mike's time to coach what he has. I get out of the way. Howie doesn't get out of the way. and I'm not this here. 2 of the last 3 years, Howie has done a really good job, especially in free agency. Added now with the component that you have these 2 kids playing great ball, okay, in the secondary for you, it's really been 2 of the 3 years, he's been really good. I mean, dude, the Becton and Barkley move are better than anything he did in 22.
Yeah.
And better than anything. Again, my problem with Nick comes down to, when I look at him, do I like him? Yes. Do the players like him?
See, that's my
issue.
I don't.
But here, do I trust him when things go fucked up and go south? No. I've never seen him solve a problem. And this year, you know who I believe solved the problem of the Eagles? Barkley. They went into that going like this. Well, shit. And they still do it. Xander, the first 25 plays has Nick Sirianni's fingers all over it. Has Nick's fingers all over it. When they get out of that, all of a sudden, they are the best second and third and fourth quarter football team in the league when it comes to dominating people. But in the first quarter, you know what they have? You know what Xander said to me on Sunday? Fuck, man, Barkley went for 12, and then they went pass, flare. And you went like this. Why? And I went, Nick.
Yeah, but
you
how
spend a whole week on those plays, Xander, designing those first 15 to 25. Even Brian Westbrook goes, I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, but let me ask you this, because I think what you said first before you got into that was valid about Nick doesn't have full autonomy.
Right.
Wouldn't that, in your opinion, then have to shade how you judge and how you view Nick Sirianni? Because you could say, well, this is organizational more than anything. We don't know what Nick's capabilities are. We don't know how good of a coach he is because everything is not all Nick Sirianni. And then similarly to what you just said about the first 25 plays, how are we so sure that that's Nick Sirianni? Like, if they have so much autonomy that they're not even letting him pick a guy on the roster, why are we so sure that the whole pass happy philosophy is not what Nick wants to do? Because when I think about it, that looks like a bookworm move. Football guys don't want to not run the ball, Dan. I know everybody wants to pass. Even the greatest passers in the world, they want to run the ball.
Yeah.
This is a physical game first.
Well, Philly doesn't want to run the ball. Why doesn't Philly want to run the ball in the first quarter then?
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, all right, I get what you're saying. And I'm not saying what
giving
you're
him
saying is wrong. But I have a hard time criticizing Nick Sirianni and removing the fact that the organization has done what they've done.
The only difference, what we're saying here, is you're giving him the benefit of the doubt. I'm not.
I'm not necessarily giving Nick the benefit of the doubt. I'm just wondering if
you are. You're saying that. How do you know if he's a good coach or not? When I say to you, I say this: well, any good coach worth their salt would have fucking autonomy in that first 25 and say, "Hey, let me step back here and let's run the ball."
Well, I hate to say this, dude, but you're the one in this situation that would have the burden of proof because that's what this organization is.
I don't know. I have the burden of proof. They suck in the first quarter.
Yeah, but what I'm saying to you is that it's not all Nick fueled. Everybody thinks it's Nick. Well, I don't think it's all Nick. I think it's an organizational.
What is that first 25?
I think an organizational philosophy that we must establish the pass first and run the closeout game.
That's not having authority over your roster.
I agree. That's what I'm saying. I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
So when you say that, when you take the power of a guy who's 10-2 and you don't allow him the first 25 plays, and you're saying that that's an organizational mentality, do you think that general manager has say completely in his own fate, in his own way that they do business, if the organization is making suggestions for you?
I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what goes on behind closed doors, but when I look at the things that we do,
you see the results.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, though. When I look at the things we do know, well, it looks like there is a lot of the front office loves have their hands in things, which some people might have no issue with that. We've been relatively successful, right? I mean, we have been a successful organization. We haven't quite reached Super Bowls or won a lot of Super Bowls, but we have been successful. So I'm not going to dive into that. I mean, I don't exactly know, but my point to you early was I think Nick has been pretty good given the circumstance. Has he done some boneheaded shit? Of course. Is he learning? Of course. Dan Campbell's done some boneheaded shit too.
NFC Championship game. He had the lead in that thing, and God did away. Yeah, God did away here. Now,
I think we're all right with Nick. Like, I really do. I don't think he's
Okay,
going to
so
hold us back like
you've
some
given
people
him
do.
the benefit of the doubt of the 1-6 meltdown and the 2-2 start. You're now okay, and you're giving him a pass for that, saying, "Hey, guess what? He's learning on the job like these other coaches who have spent a boatload of years. Like you said, took Shula 10 years and almost a decade, and some of these other guys, Andy Reid, 15 years. You think
21 years for Andy, which is crazy.
You think that is just, hey, I think it looks more like front running to me, where when things are bad, that's when I want to see a great head coach, not when things are great.
I think that's fair. I mean, I don't think I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. I'm more if you ask me my biggest concerns right now about the Eagles, I can't say Nick Sirianni would be top 3. Like, you want to get to the Super Bowl this year, Xander? What are your top 3 concerns that what would stop you from getting there? I don't think Nick's in the top 3 right now.
Okay. What do you think are the top 3?
I think the passing game is the number 1. Actually, I'll go slow starts number 1, because if you start slow on these good teams, you see they're going to put you out of your misery quick. And I don't want that to happen. So I think you could say probably the slow starts 1, which I really think is easily fixable. Hand the ball to Saquon Barkley. Stop being cute. Be who you are. Embrace who you are. Big Sills are going to be Big Sills. I'm going to be Big Z. Flex is going to be Flex. Everybody got to be who they are. Be who you fucking are. You get the best O-line in football. Get the best running back in football. Stop being cute. Stop being cute to appease Sileo, who wants passing yards. Fuck the passing yards. All right? Go out there and bully
I
people.
want the RPO yards.
So that's, again, I think that's easily fixable. Number 2, passing offense. If you do get into that game, last night, we watched 2 great NFC teams. A lot of Eagles fans saying on here, on social media, and I'm good with it. They're saying, hey, I'm confident we can beat that team. Okay, I feel good too. Detroit is the number 3 passing offense in the NFL, along with the number 3 running attack.
Right.
So they are more balanced of a team than we are. If they need to pass, they can do it. If they need to run, they can do it. Right now, technically, we're a 2-headed running monster with Jalen. But if for whatever reason that does get taken away, we're going to be relying on Jalen to make the throws. I believe he can, because if A.J. Brown's in single coverage, I think Jalen's going to make that throw, as he has many times before. But we are leaving that more up to debate. I mean, if you go and look at right now, the bottom 10, actually, let's do it, because you know what? I'd rather be the most accurate I can. If you look at the bottom 10 passing offenses in the NFL, none of them are Super Bowl contenders, except for the Eagles. Not one of them.
Right. They're 28th.
Right. So that's,
by the way, Carolina on Sunday's 29th.
So here's the top total offense. Eagles are 3, right? Okay. All good there. Ravens 1, Lions 2. All good. Good with total offense. Passing offense. Bengals 1, Lions are 3rd, Ravens are 4th, Vikings are 9th, Packers are tied at 9th, the exact same average per game as the Vikings. Chiefs are 12, Eagles all the way down at 28. Now 32nd is the Patriots, 31st is the Giants, 30th is the Titans, 29 is the Panthers, 27 is the Bears, 26 is the Colts, 25th is the Jags, 24th Chargers, 23rd Jets.
Those are all horrible passing.
They're all horrible teams. They're all horrible teams. So that's why it's my second biggest concern, because you don't want to be clumped with those groups. I'm not saying you have to be the best passing offense in the NFL, but you can't be clumped. I mean, let me read you those bottom 5 again. Patriots, Giants, Titans, Panthers, Eagles. You don't want to be clumped with those teams. So that passing offense it's almost gotten to a point where you should almost think it's like, should we take a little bit away from Barkley just for fun? Because we need to get this thing going a little bit. It's like you pull an old car off the shelf. You got to let that motor warm up a little bit, man. You got to let some oil get through that thing.
I don't believe you're going to flip a switch and all of a sudden you're going to have a 375-yard game, because I just haven't seen it in a year and a half. I mean, you're just, that's not going to work like that, man. I mean, I don't see that. I mean, I don't see where that's improved anywhere in there. I mean, now, that this is a debate question and this is an opinion, but I just haven't seen them do it, dude. Completely, the offense has improved because of one man. And
I don't know what my third would be, by the way, on my top 3 concerns.
Tell me.
I'm leaning towards something that people won't like, which is fine.
Depth.
Okay, that's a better one than mine. So I could put depth at 3rd. Depth is definitely 3rd. But if I had to say the one I was going to say, just for the sake of the conversation and to gauge the thoughts of the people, My concern would be, as excited and as happy as I am about this defense, you're now going into a little bit of uncharted territory of you're late in the year. Can they sustain what they've been? Because what they have been is the reason that we can run the ball so consistently. So I'm not saying they're going to have this crazy drop off and they're going to suck all of a sudden. But you know how it is. On any given Sunday, a team can come in and make a number 1 defense look like a number 31st defense. All it takes is a couple big plays. So if we do get into a spot where that defense can hold up, what does our team look like there? Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but boy, we've been playing at a pretty insane level. And think about it. Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Milton Williams, Nolan Smith, Jalix Hunt, Nakobe Dean, Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell. These are all rookie contract players. So you're relying on a lot of contributors on rookie contracts to play great defense, not just great, excellent, best in the NFL defense late into January. That to me can be viewed as somewhat of a concern. I think they'll be able to do it, but it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
I think they're younger this year than they were in 22, so that should be an issue that helps them. And I think they've upgraded the old line from 22. I think that
the line looks insane, man.
I think Micaiah Becton is better than Isaac Seumalo, and I think that Jason Kelsey was running out of gas last year at the end of the year, and I think Cam Jurgens has added more juice to that old line. I think that old line is better than the Super Bowl line that you had of 22, and actually, I think it's better than the 17 line that you had. And now, look, Jason Peters didn't play in that Super Bowl in the postseason, so that's the only reason why I'm saying that, because Peters is one of the great players of all time. But, dude, at the end of the day, this is the best line the Eagles have had in the last, let's just say it, since the Super Bowl.
It's a good point. Here's a good comeback. Wombat checks in. Appreciate it. He says, yeah, but that's what they're here to do, Z. This is the NFL, man. And I agree. But listen, do you have any concern that Lane Johnson will fall off at the end of this season in the playoffs?
No.
Okay. Do you have any concern that Nolan Smith will be able to play good in the playoffs?
Yes.
Nakobe Dean will.
Yes.
I'm not saying it's huge, but it's bigger than when you're talking about veteran guys that you can rely on. It's a bigger question. I'm not indicting them, but you're right. I mean, I hear you, Wombat, no doubt.
Okay, but they've never played in it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why the question marks remain a little bit more. And by the way, you're right about the offensive line. They've been insane.
Zach Bond's never been in that environment.
True. Again, another question. He's never played this many snaps. What does he look like?
He's never played championship football.
I mean, listen, ask any NFL player. I've never played in the NFL, obviously. Big Sills has. You feel a lot worse on your body in the last 8 games of the year than you do in the first 10 games of the year.
It's the most insane thing you've ever felt. Yeah, Xander, I'll give you a great, because this probably happened to you. You ever gone swimming and you swam all day and all of a sudden you got a haze in your eyes? You got that haze, right? You know what that haze is from for an NFL player? Taking Percocets, Percodans, trying to fight the fucking pain that you have in your back, your ankle, your wrist, whatever. And by the end of the year, you're a zombie, dude. So you have to have really good people and doctors around you to keep that thing going. Eagles have pretty good doctors. They got a great organization that takes care of them when it comes to that stuff. But hey, dude, listen. Again, I'll throw my opinion, and I'll get yours here on Carolina here in a second. By the way, we'll read all supers at the very end of this. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button here. So I asked this question too. What does 44-19 mean to you?
Not a whole lot right now, but it means he's on a good pace. And, couple that with what I told you earlier about coaches, I feel pretty good right now about Nick. I mean, is he learning? Of course, but the 44-19, yeah, it doesn't mean much.
Not Nick. This is not Nick. This is
everything. Gotcha.
This is everything.
Yeah, I mean, you feel good about it, but you don't want to be the greatest winning regular season football team of all time. Like, it's great, and it's a good synopsis of how good our football team has been for a while. But if you don't ultimately couple that with hardware, then I think it's going to fall on deaf ears and ultimately won't withstand the test of time in the history books. I mean, you don't tell stories about teams that are 13-3 every year. Think about it. The Cowboys. I mean, we bust on the Cowboys for that right now, all the time. Oh, they won 12 games every year. Like, it's great. It's cool. But if it's not ultimately capped with a Super Bowl ring, it's going to be a lot less cool. And I'll even say this: if it is Cap with a Super Bowl ring,
Yes.
how much more cool does that become?
Oh,
Because now you're like, what a dominant era or what a dominant period in Eagles history, right?
It validates the entire 5 years. And this is what I said about it. And you know what? All kidding aside about it. If you're in the 90s and the 80s, okay, you probably have 3 or 4 Super Bowls because everybody's staying put. Nobody's free agency. You're this and that. Xander, 42, 44, 19, back then, you got 2, 3 Super Bowls because.
Well, to be fair, we probably wouldn't have the guys we do in that era either because a lot of them were acquired through.
You're not getting rid of TJ Edwards. You're not getting rid of Sam Howell. You're not getting rid of Hargrave. Those guys were, and you were stockpiling talent. So your second team would be even better. So the point of what they're doing in a salary cap era at being 42 and 44 and 19 is fucking great. It's absolutely a great thing. But what made the Patriots great? They finished it. They closed it out with all that during the salary cap era. And they did it in an era of Manning. Remember something, Peyton Manning, if he's in a different era, he probably wins 8 Super Bowls.
Yeah, it's true.
But he's in the Brady era. That's what made what those dudes did. They ran through the fucking tape. The Eagles have to run through the tape, or you're going to look back on this and go, what could have been? Because you know what Eagle fans do now? They look back at Andy Reid's time going, hey, I love Doug. You know why I love Doug more than Andy? He brought the chip home. Andy fell on his face at the end. People in Philly don't look at Andy Reid's time other than this. He set the stage for the blueprint of how we do business and how the owner does business. He was a phenomenal coach, but he never won. I mean, dude, can you imagine being considered the best coach in Eagle history and having an Eagle fan say this? Yeah, but he wasn't a winner.
It's true. It's what the knock is on Andy right now.
That sucks.
Yeah, it sucks big time. There's no doubt.
Because and now when you're watching what he's doing in Kansas City, you're like, fuck, he should have been doing that. My point is, dude, don't let this era go down with regret.
Yeah, but right now, look, it's still early, don't you? I mean, I guess it's not.
It's fourth year.
Yeah, so it's not early. I mean, you're right. You got to get there, but you're not going to win the bowl every year. Like if you can put yourself in even the best. I mean, Brady didn't win it every year. You're not going to win every year. So to think that is stupid. There's going to be years you have. If you can continue to get better, continue to keep the pieces there, continue to
need one.
You win 12, 13 wins a year. You know, you're going to be in the room, and then when the stars align, as Johnny Mack always says, that gives you the best chance to go and win. But right now they're doing it. They just got to get to the finish line.
How about this, Martez? Who fucking is talking about the Lions? The Lions haven't been good in 54 fucking years.
Yeah,
you've been good for 30. Okay? What if the Lions won? That's right. The Lions are in a room right now where they've never been. You've been here now for half a decade. That's the difference.
What's this? Sirianni's 5th year? Is this Sirianni's 5th season?
No, 21. I think it's his 4th year. 21, 22, 23, 24.
Yeah.
4 years.
So, I mean, look.
Doug's last year was 20.
Right. It's his 4th season.
It's his 4th year. Okay? And by the way, Prince, it ain't a what-if game. This is where you are now. You're 44 and 19. I'm asking you what the fuck you're talking about. What have you accomplished right now? You know what you have accomplished? Living up to the expectations that the organization set at the beginning of the year. Here is the only thing you've accomplished. All the goals that the Eagle organization put in front of everybody when they had their individual meetings and team meetings and said, this is our goals. Right now on December 6th, you are living up to those goals right now. However, you've got to run through the tape. They are where they thought they would be right now. So they are living up. It's the only thing you've accomplished.
Yeah, but I think his point is, look, his point is more a response to me saying, could the defense drop off? Because he's making a good point, Prince. He says, we have a DC who knows how to prepare his players. That's a good rebuttal to, is the defense going to drop off? You're right. Vic has earned the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, he has right now. So I think that's fair, Prince. I see what you're saying.
Let me ask you this then, Prince. So what you're saying, Prince, is even with this 3-man rotation now, you're confident that 3-man rotation, he's going to come up with a way like Jim Johnson did or Jim Schwartz to be able to have lesser talent and still get production not having Brandon Graham in there because you're giving Vic the benefit of the doubt, right, Xander? You're giving Vic the benefit of the doubt that he'll have Jalen Hunt ready.
Yeah, I think he's earned at least that with what he's been able to do. I mean, don't you think one of the best signs of a coordinator's success is how well young players are playing?
Yes.
Right? Doesn't that show you like
Actually, it's how quick the communication? It's how quick the communication has been absorbed by the younger players, and how, dude, the craziest thing I've ever seen is that you got so many new faces back there and so many new guys back there, and they're all on the wavelength. Is unreal. It's great.
It is, and I think that's
the head
credit to Vic, right?
Yeah, completely on Vic.
Yeah, that's a credit to Vic. So it is a good point there that Prince brought up. Vic has been good, but I mean, what are your top three? I mean, I think my three are pretty valid. Where one, you can't start slow versus everybody. Two was passing game. What's it going to look like? And three is, could the defense fall off? But I think your depth one is better. But what would be your biggest concerns for the Eagles right now in terms of? I know you're objective. I know you're not a fan, but if you viewed it and said, okay, for the Eagles to go to the Super Bowl, they need to do this. What would be the three things that would stop them from getting there for you?
Right now, health. I mean, their depth right now bothers me on defense. Your edge rushing. And by the way, you lose a linebacker, who steps in? Okay. I mean, right now, again, you got 5 games remaining. Man, to me, I just wish the season ended today so you could start the playoffs right now and you could go in with this roster. But
I bet you the Lions are saying the same thing, although they got a couple guys coming back, the Lions. That's the thing about them.
You know what, Xander, you know what's going to be crazy? You're going to hear me say this, and this sounds so bad and stupid, but shit, man, if I got a 10, 15, 20-point lead in the third quarter, man, I want to get those guys' asses out of there, get some guys some more reps. I want to start getting the Kenny Gainwell train going. Let him get his 109 so he passes Shady, Barkley. Get Shipley some reps because you never know when you're going to need these guys.
You got to throw that ball, man. Devontae Smith's back. Get him the ball 8 to 10 times this year.
Do you really want to put him out there in a position where he can get?
He's playing. He already said today he's playing.
No. Do you really want to start throwing a ball around right now in a game that quite frankly, you're just looking to get out? The Eagles are looking to get the win and get out of there healthy.
Okay, if it's 14-0, let's say the Birds go up 14-0, I'm coming out and throwing the ball. Yes. It's worth it to me to sacrifice some running yards or some of that to get this thing going.
Possessions, too.
It's common knowledge. You can't just put something on the shelf and then expect that you're going to resuscitate. It's going to work perfectly when you pull it off the shelf. I mean, they got to keep that going a little bit. I would get the ball to Devontae Smith, get the ball to A.J. Brown. All the other people, I don't give a shit about Jahan Dotson. Get your main guys the ball involved.
If you do that, though, Xander, and you're not hitting on all cylinders, what do? You keep the Panthers in the game by doing that shit because this is what happens in the first
quarter. Let me ask you this. Would you rather keep the Panthers in the game or would you rather it cost you in the playoffs? That's where I don't want to be stupid about seeding.
Yeah, but right now I'm more worried about injuries than I am worried about continuity.
Okay, that's fine.
You
want to put the Panthers out of their misery and sit your guys.
I just want to put them to sleep. And I want to run them over 8 times when they're on.
I'm fine with that. Yeah. I still would probably lean toward getting this passing game going. I mean, shit, if you can't because this is the thing. The organization's philosophy is and has been told many times that they want to pass to get the lead and then run to close it out.
They want explosion plays.
Through 12 games, we have yet to pass to get the lead.
Yes.
We have not done that yet. If you can't do that versus the Panthers, the 26th ranked passing defense in the NFL, I think you got a big problem.
You know what? That's funny you should say that. Let me read you what I wrote. This is what I wrote about the Panther game. I was going to – this was my take. This is my prediction here. There's not really a threat in this game on Sunday, in my opinion. To me, it's about staying healthy. I wrote this down here. It'd be great to get the first quarter going. And with Smitty back, I'd like what you just said, Xander. I'd like to see some continuity at that with the passing game here. I mean, and this is what I just wrote, what you said. I mean, if you can't get that first quarter going and you can't get the passing game going, and you can't show a rhythm against the Panthers in the first quarters, you're going to have issues going into the postseason, in my opinion, because they have nothing to offer. They have nothing to offer here. I said that, there's no question here. You got to run the ball. I'd like to see a little bit more of Shipley and Gainwell going in this ball game. I mean, my work concern also on workload for Barkley. I mean, dude, you've been running that engine with the foot down on the pedal the entire season. He has not had a break the entire year, and they have had the gas pedal at the floor the whole season. Yeah. Wouldn't it be nice to get him as 109 and then get him out of there and sit him for like a quarter and a half, giving him like another kind of small buy? Yeah, I know they're resting him during the week, but shit.
Do you have any fear with that record talk? Because I know we've said both clearly that we'd love to see him get that record, but is that one, like, think about that. You're like, it's like a race car. I mean, you just said it, pedal to the floor. You go all the way, man. But once you reach that finish line, your wheels fall off, for crying out loud. Like, we're not playing really for that. We're playing for a longer race. You got to pace yourself a little bit. Is that fair, or is that whatever? You can't legislate it.
I got a very interesting text from a friend of mine at WIP by the name of Ike Reese. You know who he is?
Ike Reese? Yeah, I know who Ike Reese is. He's phenomenal. He's probably the best guy WIP has, at least in my opinion.
Ike said this. He goes, I'm with you, Sills. A fucking record. I'm going full board for it. I want that bitch. The organization want. So Westbrook, him, everyone I've talked to, all the players want him to get that. They want him to get that record. Okay? So it's a balancing act. You listen to John and you listen to coaches. They're not wrong either. They're not wrong either. Hey, look, do I want him to get banged up, and do I want him to coming out of the NovaCare Center? I don't want any. I want him to be as healthy as he possibly. John's not wrong. I see both sides of it. I do.
Yeah,
I do. But for me, dude, if I'm 100 yards shy of that record, sorry, man. Well, I'm going to tell Jalen. Tell you what, Jalen, we're gonna tee it up. And we're going to do this because this is a record for everyone. Dude, you'll remember that for the rest of your lives. Say you get tripped up and something happens in the playoffs. Don't come out of the season with nothing but 10-2. Fuck, man. Have something that you were like. One thing about the Brady thing, when Brady went 17-0 and they tripped up in the Super Bowl, it was an iconic year for him. Brady hates that year. He fucking hates it. All the records he broke, he threw for 50 touchdowns that season. Brady was like this, Moss had an iconic year. He had 21 touchdown passes.
It's a good example, isn't it?
I mean, right? I mean,
it's the perfect example. It really is. You went perfect every day. Think about it. We'd be doing this talk show. There's not a thing you could complain about. You'd be 12-0, not a thing wrong. And then the one day they mess it up and it ruins everything that you did.
Everything
it
you've ever
shows
done.
You how much this is a game of inches and how much every little detail matters. And you got to put, you got to handle.
10-16 beat them.
Hey, what'd you think of that game last night, by the way? I know we talked about it very briefly, but what'd you think of that thing? Because I thought that was probably your two best NFC team. I think it's those two. I know you have the Vikings. I think it's those two and the Eagles are the top three, in my opinion.
I look at Minnesota. You know what? I should probably respect Minnesota more.
Yeah, me too.
Because of their defense and their run game. I should probably respect the fact that the head coach is a good coach and they've got some good things going on. Their old line is very underrated.
We've got Sam Darnold playing well. I mean, he's really done a decent job. Yeah,
they have basically coached the shittiness out of Sam Darnold up there, which is amazing when two franchise bombed on it. But last night, I mean, I think it shows you a great example of what I talk about when it comes to balance, especially when it comes to the Lions last night. They won that game because of golf last night. 32 of 41, 283, 3 touchdowns, almost 80% completion percentage against Green Bay. And look at the other guys. I mean, 14 carries for 51 yards for Montgomery. The other guy, Gibbs, had 15 carries.
They didn't do much.
It was all golf.
Yeah.
And to put in perspective of golf's going to throw for 4,300 yards, 33 touchdowns, 109 rating, and he's going to throw for 73% completion percentage. And he's 12-1 right now. And he just beat Jordan Love. I mean, I'm telling you, man, the thing that gives me concerns about the Eagles is that, okay, you stop the run. Say you stop the run. Are you going to be able to stop both of them with no pressure? I mean, you're going against the best. You can make the argument the Lions have a better line than you. Like, how about this? If you took, okay, well, I'll tell you what.
They do.
If you, okay, but wait a minute.
Wait, but
If
didn't
you
you
want
see a
to keep,
couple
if you want
times
to keep,
last night, though?
I'll tell you what. They got the best offensive lineman on that unit.
Penei Sewell?
Yeah, he's the best old lineman in the league.
I don't know
think it's close. Who's close?
Mailata, I think.
No way. Dude, the number 1 rated old lineman in pro football right now is Penei Sewell.
It's not. He's actually not. The number 1 rated, if you go by
It's the
PFF.
other guy.
No, the number 1 on PFF right now is tackle is Mailata.
Oh, well,
but it's PFF. I mean, look, everybody likes what they like. You don't have to like PFF.
I'm taking Penei Sewell.
Yeah, Lane's up there too. Nuclear. Like I watched Penei Sewell last night, and
who do you think is going to be first team All Pro? Mailata?
I know your guy. I know they're going to be first team All Pro because everybody's tired of Lane Johnson and everybody loves Penei Sewell.
No. Mailata plays left side.
Mailata plays right. Mailata plays left. Yeah,
Okay.
Right side is going to be Sewell.
That's right.
I don't know. I watched that offensive line last night. They're good. They're impressive, but you see cracks, and I don't see cracks when I watch the Eagles' offensive line. Not very much. Not very much. Do you see?
I see cracks in pass protection.
Yeah, but is that on them or is that more on just Jalen's style? And I'm not even criticizing Jalen, but he does move around a lot. It makes it a lot harder for block for a guy like that. I mean, that's just reality. Jared Goff ain't going anywhere.
You're a unit. Unit. Okay, the quarterback and the O-line. Here's the difference. You want to know also the difference between Goff and Jalen Hurts? It's totally on display last night. Jared Goff's been calling pass protections his entire life.
And he's really good at it.
And get this. This is the first year this guy's been doing this. This is the first year that Jalen's actually acted like a true NFL quarterback by taking all the responsibilities that have been asked for him this year. And that guy's been doing that since Cal. He's been doing it since the Rams. I mean, it's second nature to that guy.
That's true.
Okay, this is the first year this dude is, and he's still taking pocket sacks. You're wrong, not wrong about the moving around. You know where Jared Goff is in the pocket.
Yeah.
You know as a blocker where he is.
Yeah.
How many times has Jalen run himself into sacks? I'd say 30% of the time.
I think that's even a little generous. I think you're right. I mean, I'm not taking away what you're saying, but my point was,
the NFC.
I think the Eagles' offensive line is better than the Lions' offensive line.
I don't think by a lot. I think it's right there. I think, but you get this.
Well, I'm just wondering, like,
their center's better.
You just gave me the stats for the running backs last night. You think that defense would have been able to stop Saquon like that? They held them to like 3 yards, 2.9 yards a carry. Like, and I'm not saying that's a credit to Saquon being better. I'm saying our offensive line is blocking better.
I think Detroit's defense is where the Eagles may have them. Because I think Detroit's defense.
Yeah, but dude, think about this.
I see oil on the ground.
I see oil too, but not everything there is unfixable. They do have some guys out for the year, but think about this. Look, a lot of people not high on the Lions or whatever. They weren't that impressed that last night. They didn't have their starting left tackle. They didn't have DJ Reader, their starting defensive tackle, who's a beast, by the way.
Fantastic player.
They lost to Lynn McNeil for like a quarter. I don't know if he finished up the game. I don't remember. But that's like not having Jordan Mailata, Jalen Carter, and Jordan Davis. Like, that's a lot. That's a lot of dudes in the trenches where those types of games are won in the NFC.
Mm-hmm.
So that Lions team they're gonna get better. They're maybe never know how it happens. There might be some other injuries or something, but they got some big dudes coming back on that team. And by the way, Zadarius Smith, I'm impressed. That's
a great pickup.
I did not think he was going to be this good of an
I
impact.
I thought he was slowing down in Cleveland.
Me too.
I would like to have had the Eagles make a play for him. Remember, I brought his name up and I go, hey, keep an eye on this guy because this would be somebody that you can add to the depth level for
not
the
the
free
point,
agent.
Prince. Not the point, brother. I know Green Bay was missing the same. I'm comparing us to the Lions. The Lions are right now viewed as the top team in the NFC by most people. That's who I'm comparing us to. The Lions, they were missing those guys, so they're going to get better. They're the metric right now. They're 12-1.
And they were in the NFC Championship game last year, and they're trending that way again this year to get back to the NFC title game. I said 38-10. I don't really think that this thing's going to be – I don't really think this thing – and they're going to take care of business. They're going to run the shit out of the ball. I think it's 38-10.
Yeah, I like that score. I put 31-13. I just didn't think they would run it up that much.
Let me finish up here with the Lions. I think they're well coached. I like both coordinators. I think that Brad Holmes has done a sensational job with his draft picks.
He has very, very, very well.
And get this, the Matthew Stafford trade has just brought them Laporte, Sewell,
trade. Yeah,
Aiden Hutchinson, all that shit, man. All those guys were off of that trade, and they've all been grand slams. Like I said the other day, their tight end is more productive. Is he better than Goddard talent-wise? No, but he's there. And Goff spread the ball around for the first time in NFL history to 6 different people last night, and being able to run that spread offense last night. I mean, Xander, he reminds me a little bit of Purdy and how those guys spread the ball all around. They're great in read progressions. He's getting better and better and better. And I got to tell you something. We made a comment about Goff and Dak yesterday. How come it looks like to me that Goff is getting better and Dak's getting worse?
Goff is getting better. I know, like we had one commenter who's like, here's the reality with Detroit. They still have Jared Goff, who at any given moment can drop a stinker. And I'm like, you're not wrong, but like the same reason that we give Jalen credit would be
7 the last 2 years.
I mean. Like, if you're going to give Jalen credit for what we give Jalen credit for, you got to be able to be objective and say, hey, Jared Goff has been a lot better. Like, I'm not going to judge Jared Goff by who he was 5 years ago. The dude's winning. I mean, he's been really good.
And he's been
really freaking good.
And he won then when he was in Los Angeles with McVay. I mean,
you know what else I learned last night too in that watching that game? And it's ultimately probably will not happen, but I really wanted to get that fucking team out of Detroit, dude. I really did. Because that's a great stadium. They got a great fan base. I would maybe say that might be the second best fan base in the NFL behind the Eagles. I think that fan base is maybe it's just because they sucked ass for so many years that they got all jacked up, but that's a good fan base. I wanted to get those dudes out of Ford Field so bad. Now we still can, but you're asking them to lose 2 games of their last 4 when they're 12-1. I think that's a little bit of an uphill battle there.
Absolutely. And I would happen to say that I think that the Bills probably are the second, but I like that Lion fan base. But since December 6th, Xander, to your point, in 2022, if you look at it, let's see here, 9, 10, 11. Jared Goff was 31-8.
Pretty impressive.
Since they've turned that thing around where they've started winning, since December 6th of 2022, he's 31-8, dude. I mean, I don't know what people are fucking talking about. The guy is putting wins up for that team and changing the landscape of that franchise there. So, you know, I think that they can do more than your offense. I think your offense is very limited. And I think it's powerful, though. I mean, your offensive running attack is the best in football, and no one's been able to stop it. But to this point, I've only seen one side of that football team. I have not seen the other side. Look, here's your offense. Dominant at the run. You run an amazing slant. Best slant pass I've seen to a wide receiver since Jerry Rice. It's undefensible. Well, Rice took those things to the house, too. Yeah. Like the way you're seeing AJ. They couldn't defend it. Every single time I see AJ run that slant play, he's totally fucking open. And he's single covered because they're so afraid of the run game. I just think, again, the coaching, in my opinion, as an overall group, I think Detroit looks pretty good. By the way, that head coach, I mean, that offensive coordinator that they have there, he is going to be the hottest commodity. Did you hear what he said? I'm not picking a job. I'm picking one. So when somebody comes to recruit me and asks me, the only jobs that I'm interviewing for are the one that I'm taking, which means this. What a fucking last year he told him he wanted $18 million. Now he's telling him this. I'm only interviewing with one team next year. One team. And
Yeah,
that's
but why is he wrong? I know he's listen,
not.
I know he comes off as an asshole, but sometimes
I don't
being an
mind my
asshole
coach
gets
being
you
an
in the spotlight.
asshole.
Look at some of the coaches though that go to these organizations.
Yeah, die.
Like, dude, you're going there to die. The turnover rate on NFL coaches is insane.
Who wants that Jets job?
Look at Doug Peterson.
Who wants that Jags job?
None.
I mean, look, if you're a college guy, say you're Kirby Smart, why the fuck would I leave Georgia making $11 million to go coach the Jaguars, who, by the way, will be firing me in 2 years? Why would I fucking take that job?
Is this a subtle factor late in the year? Think about it. Eagles, Lions preparing for the NFC title game. Ben Johnson, reports of him getting – it's the same thing in Philly. Remember with Gannon and Steichen? They tried to keep it under wraps. Gannon, I'll be back in Philly. He was gone the bench after the Super Bowl.
He's telling you he's moving
I wonder if the hype for Ben Johnson could become a distraction for Detroit when it matters the most.
Yeah, well, this is what his agent will tell you. Well, if the offensive coordinator wins the Super Bowl and you are a Super Bowl champion offensive coordinator, and I'm sitting down across from my owner and you just saw what I did, that's going to cost you an extra $2 million. So let's just make it a cool 20. Or do you want to go down in flames where you got beaten, your offense stumbled around and you go, we're going to have more of a vetting process because I'll tell you what, don't you want to finish it strong?
Yeah, it's true.
Okay.
I think Ben's playing the
right
right
move.
I
think that Gannon job was promised already to him.
What's the best job right that like right now you think will be this summer? Yeah.
The best NFL job. Jets is terrible. Jags will be terrible.
Terrible. Both terrible.
Giants, depending if they get a new GM.
Terrible. Stop. They suck.
Stop. If they they got to fire Schoen.
Dude, they've been a terrible organization under John Mara. I know they have 2 rings, but they don't win a lot of games. They have underachieved completely.
I get
they're not a great organization. I know you like the Maras.
10 years, they're 50-107.
It's brutal, brother. I don't want that job.
Carolina is a shitty job.
I don't think that guy's going to get fired yet either.
No, Dave Canales is not going to get fired. He's a 1-year coordinator too.
Yeah.
Vegas job is terrible because there's no quarterback there.
Yeah, and does Brady make it any more enticing? The guy won't. I don't know. I don't want that job.
No. I would not.
There's not. I'm telling you, there's not that many good jobs. Like if I'm Ben Johnson, I'm like, you better wow me, or else I'm staying right here in Detroit, where I'm going to have the best offense in the NFL and march my way back to.
You think Kyle Shanahan stays in?
I don't.
San Francisco?
I thought for sure he would, but
you know what the rumor is? That
blowing it all up.
No. Here's the rumor that they would trade him.
Yeah, I could see that. Well, you saw Sean Payton get traded too, right?
Yeah. But they traded Gruden for 3 1s from the Raiders to the Bucks. So, I mean, could you see them trading?
I could see that. I could see him being a person
going to the Bears.
Yeah, I could see somebody trading for him. Boy, the Bears.
We do understand now that the Atlanta Falcons made a fuck-up mistake by not hiring Belichick.
Yeah, of course. I mean, Raheem was good early in the year, but
Raheem is good. He's a good coach, but
he hasn't been great.
They made a mistake by not. You see that he interviewed for the UNC job?
Did he?
Yeah.
Wait a second. Are the Bears one of the better jobs this summer? I don't want to play for the Bears either.
The Bears are doing.
They got more talent in the room, that's for sure.
The Bears are doing some different things now up there because you know why? They're starting to put more offensive talent. They got DJ Moore. They ended up getting Keenan Allen up there. They got Caleb Williams. But see, my problem is this. You still have an old school mentality. I would look at everyone in the room going, now, who was the decision to pass on Jalen Carter again? Who made that call?
Well, I do think John's right about that, where some coaches have earned, like Howie doesn't have to worry about shit like that, taking that player. That player, if you go back, he was a risky pick in that draft. Coming off of the obviously the Georgia incident with the car accident, the death of the student, there was some questionable stuff. I'm not saying I didn't indict Jalen Carter. I think he's a good guy. I don't think he's a bad person. But look, let's be real, when you're getting vetted for the NFL draft, they're patting you down, man. Like they're really checking on everything.
Oh,
So
they go back to high school.
A young GM. I think he was like, I can't risk my job over taking a player that has this many red flags. The Eagles, on the other hand, Howie Roseman has been around long enough. He had the go ahead, and it was easy for him to make that decision. But I do think that has to be factored in. GMs are another. Decision. Yeah, that's another job.
That wasn't his decision. You know whose decision it was? The owners.
Yeah.
You know how I know this? Did you not sign Michael Vick?
It's true. So true.
Okay. That owner you know what he did? That owner that you have doesn't mind a couple dents in the fender.
Yeah, which is good. I respect that about him.
Me too. I want that. I want that to be able to.
Yeah. I don't think human beings should be indicted on a single moment or a period of life or anything.
Once we know each other, we know what's up here, and we know that what kind of human you are, and I feel good about you. I'm gonna be okay with the dent in the fender, man. That's how Jimmy Johnson was too. Hey, you're going to have a couple dents in the fender, man. But you know what? If you're a hard worker and you're willing to listen to me, I'll tell you what we'll do. We're going to do some great things for you.
Yeah, I agree. Look at him awake. Sills never gives Howie credit. He's even stripping Jalen Carter away from him now. I'm awake.
No, I'm not.
He picked up on that. I love it.
Oh, hey, how hard was
the owner who signed off on that?
No way. What, you think that guy made that call on that?
Shut up. Howie said, hey, I want to draft this
guy.
Had to call it? And Jeff said, yeah, do it. Go for it.
That guy had to call his dad up and go, Dad, hey, listen, you know the guy who murdered the guy in the car? You know, he's really a good guy. Had an opportunity. Bring him in. Let me talk to him. Okay. Hey, by the way, agent, I got to talk to my dad a little bit more. I'll get back with you in the morning. That's what they did. He had to call his dad. Wait a minute. You think Howie Roseman does anything without calling his father?
Dude, listen, when you're stroking $50 million checks and $300 million a year of somebody's money, you don't think you give them a fucking courtesy of a phone call?
Yes.
Are you crazy?
Hey, Dad, I'm going to sign Bryce Huff to a $51 million deal, Dad.
You don't spend $300 million in somebody's money, Sills, without a courtesy phone call.
Hey, Dad, I'm going to spend $51 million on Bryce Huff. Is that okay? Well, okay, you better be good. Yeah, okay, Dad. Hey, Dad, guess what? This guy may not be good, but guess what we got? We got one guy with $1.5 million, and his name is Zach Bond. Yeah, I know, but what about the other guy that you're paying who's sitting over there making $18 million a year? You think they move off that guy in the end?
Who, Bryce Hoffelschnoff?
Yeah.
I'm worried that we're going to get into a scenario. Ready? Let me play it out for everybody. Is this what's coming before I go? Huff's going to be out for the year. The offseason's going to come. We're going to have a lot of decisions to make. Maybe Josh Sweat can't come back. Maybe Milton Williams has to walk. And everybody is going to try and talk us into Bryce Huff is going to be a contributor on the team next year, and to bring him back, and you can't move on because the dead cap, and we have hope that he'll be better. We only saw 8 games. Is that going to happen? I have a feeling that's going to happen, and I might be the one doing it. By the way, I might be the guy like Bryce Huff is coming back.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, like Nick. Well, yeah, Jalen's a Pro Bowler.
They're not moving on from him yet. I don't see it. How? $51 million and they're moving on in 1 year? That's not that easy to do, dude.
No, you're gonna have to eat money, and you're gonna have
eating
to
a lot of
trade
money.
him. You're gonna have
that $30 million dead cap we were about to pick back up.
So let me ask you this: would you rather go into the draft and draft a linebacker, or would you rather give Zach Bond $15 million?
They're not drafting a linebacker. Are you absolutely crazy?
Okay. Oh wait. So then you're gonna go into the draft, or are you gonna draft, or are you gonna sign Mekhi Becton for $15 million?
I got a new fear at the linebacker position.
Tell me.
They're going to try and make Nakobe Dean, Zach Bond, and they're going to slide Nakobe over there, and then they're going to put Trotter at where Nakobe is now. Yeah, and they're going to save that $15 million, and they're not going to pay it to Bond, and they're excited because Nakobe's next to him now.
And they're going to draft a guy in the 3rd round.
I don't know if that's going to happen. We'll see. I'm just saying.
They're going to take guy in the edge. They're going to take an
These
edge rush.
motherfuckers seem to let every linebacker go. So will they let Bond go? Who knows? We'll see what happens.
Yes, sir, baby. The musical chairs are Howie the Great.
Pat, I'm sorry I put that nightmare in your head, but that might be what they try and do. I do think they'll pay Nakobe Dean because he's a draft pick. Yeah, I think Howie will toot his horn on that and sign Nakobe Dean. And he's not wrong. I like Nakobe, but
hey, do we have any supers we got to read?
Let's see. Appreciate everybody. That was a fun Football Friday segment.
By the way, before you get out of here, I want to know what'd you say the game for you for the Carolina?
I put 31-13 for the Birds.
All right, yeah, that's right. Sure. Yeah, no, they'll beat the shit. They should beat the shit out of them. Yeah.
Perez says Lane stopped Bosa with a torn groin, not even close.
Okay.
Lane is a beast. He does deserve. Yeah,
he's a great player.
We already read that one. Prince, thank you, bro. Harv says, I've been pleasantly surprised by the growth and development of Jalix Hunt. He's being coached up well. I'm sure Graham is helping him. He's been pretty good.
Okay.
Not a contributor, but still, as a first-year guy who's a third rounder.
I'm shocked he's even playing.
Remember, we talk about Milton highly now as a third rounder.
Yeah, no.
Milton didn't do in his first year what Jalix is doing in his first year.
I'm shocked he's playing.
I agree. I think to Harv's point, that's a credit to him.
You see the inside of a series at all this year, and they're playing him. I mean, that's a testament to him.
Look at this one. 304. Should Dallas hire Stout? He's not going to leave, dude.
He's not leaving that thing, man. By the way,
he wants his legacy to end like this, I think.
The two coaches that you have that you're going to have for the next 3 years are going to be Jeff Stoutland and Vic Fangio. And that's a good thing. Vic's not leaving anywhere because, look, you can't hire him as D coordinator anywhere else because you can't make lateral moves in the NFL. And he's not, unless somebody comes out of their mind and pays him to be a head coach, which they're not, he's not leaving Philadelphia. He's going to go out an Eagle defensive coordinator, which is a good thing.
You know what? My worry. Shit, I'm giving everybody my worries now. Before I delivered the goods in the first 45 minutes, and now I'm giving everybody my worries. But you know what's a little weird about Vic, and I'm pretty sure it'll be all good and everything. But I know we want him to retire here, and it looks good. But 3 years in San Francisco, 4 years in Chicago, 3 years in Denver, 1 year in Miami. Now a year in Philly. Like, I know he's got a great resume and he's been around for a while, but he hasn't particularly lasted one place for a long time or particularly held up, his end of the bargain consistently over the years. Why do you think that is? I don't know.
I think it's the way he wears people out with his honesty.
It might be.
Because if you're a guy, and by the way, I think Vic took a shot at Howie the other day when he went like this. Guys think you can sign guys and give money to guys and just put them in there and think they're going to be a 3-down guy. And I'm like, who the fuck is he IDing, Huff? I think he just threw Howie under the bus there with that one. I was like, holy shit. And you know what? Nobody said anything after that. I'm like, hey, yeah, everybody thinks you could be a 3-down guy and throw a guy in there. That don't work like that. And I'm like, holy shit.
Marchetti says, who can stop our run that will force us to pass? It's not about that. It's more about if we don't get going like we have.
It's like the Eagles. Hey, Nick, you know who can? The Eagles.
Yeah, and then think about it. If the defense can't hold up against a team like the Lions for 4 straight drives, then you're down 14 or 21, Nick. Now we're throwing. So you're right. I don't think a defense will stop, but the Eagles could.
Out of that game Sunday alive is all I care about.
Brian says it's not just Nick. You can't forget about Julian. Yeah, he was talking about our debate early about Sirianni. Julian.
Hey, by the way, did you hear Nick say what he said today? Yeah, man, we rely heavily on analytics. I mean, analytics are stats.
Looks like Trill was on to my third concern before I even had a chance to say it. Good stuff here. He says 2 rookies and a few first-year starters on D. Hard to win a Super Bowl with that. Might not be what people want to hear, but the Super Bowl may take us a couple of years. That was kind of our original projection.
Yeah.
D, remember?
The defense right now has absolutely come along more than what I thought and where they are. Xander, I thought this thing would be better towards the end of the season. Instead, it was better by – what game do you think it was better by? Because now you look back in hindsight, I wasn't really sold until the Commander game, but they were good prior to that. So Bengals? You think that's when they started really playing their best ball?
They suck now. Poor Joe Burrow. Dude's playing
No.
MVP.
I'm talking the Eagles. I'm talking the Eagle defense. Do you think the Eagle defense, that's when they started really playing their best ball versus
the Bengals. Yeah, what week was the Bengals? 6?
Something like that. Coming out of the bye.
Well, they didn't play particularly bad versus the Browns. We just couldn't.
Yeah, but the Bengals offense was something that was more of a
remember they came out hot.
They didn't have Higgins, but other than that.
You guys remember the first Bengals drive? Joe Burrow was like 12 of 13 for 70 yards and a touchdown in that first drive. And then they shut him out after that. We got a couple more supers coming in. Uncle N8T3, Nate, I guess that says in the letters. Is Jalen Hurts' number equivalent to Josh Allen's this year? Let me pull up the legendary graphic that has now been tweeted to me. It might have been tweeted to me 50 times by now. I'm not even kidding you.
Let me ask you something. Do you think Josh Allen plays on the same type of talented offense that Jalen Hurts plays on?
No, clearly not. You didn't hear me say this shit, Sileo.
This is the stupidest shit on the planet.
I'm not ripping you, Uncle Nate.
This is
what everybody loves to talk about, though.
This is so fucking stupid.
Both 10-2, 3,000 yards to 2,979, 64% to 68%.
Name me one wide receiver he throws to.
27 total touchdowns to 26 total touchdowns.
Keon Coleman.
No! MVP Hurts!
Keon Coleman. They have a guy by the name of Devin Bush who runs the ball and won't have 1,000 yards. They don't have a receiver up there that will have $1,000. And you have Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, and the best O-line according to Xander in football, and an MVP candidate, Barkley. And you're trying to fucking tell me that Josh Allen plays with the same talent. How dumb is this? This right here is the stupidest thing that you can possibly have. Josh Allen doesn't play with anybody in Buffalo.
He's got some dudes.
Who? Keon Coleman? Who the hell is Keon Coleman?
Prince says, you guys make me sick. Oh, Prince, you'll be all right. Laura says, Dan, your favorite spot for Italian food in Philly. Laura, my mother's house.
Yeah. Hey, Xander, let me get to
homemade, baby.
Hey, by the way, you understand that whole premise there with Josh Allen is that he's the engine and Hurts is the caboose.
You want me to hear so much that you love your boy.
Oh, by the way, I'm going to get Jason Cole on here. Guess this, December 28th. He has to get these guys down to 10. We had Brian Westbrook on a couple days ago, right? And Westbrook knows that I'm friends with Jason Cole. And he goes like this, you think Cole's going to put Eric Allen on that final 10? I went, nope.
We'll see. All right, looking forward to your interview with Jason.
Right, let's see what he says here. Thanks, hey Xander. Thank you, Big Fish. Yep. Hey, by the way, we'll read all supers at the end of our segment here with our friend Jason Cole, who is one of those 50 Hall of Fame voters. I'm probably putting words in his mouth right now, but let's bring in Jason Cole here.
Probably
our friend.
Probably putting words in my mouth. Probably. Unbelievable.
Well, you've got to narrow it down to 10.
You didn't just say it's like me, you did it with Westbrook. You went to one of Eric Allen's boys, and you even talked to me, and you threw me under the bus to one of the boys. I hope Eric Westbrook's listening right now, and I hope he realizes what kind of bullshit you pulled with that one.
Wait a minute. No, Eric Allen's listening, actually. And so Eric texts me, he goes, Cole's not voting for me. So I text him, I go like this. That's not, I'm effing with you guys. That's not really what he goes, Jason is going to take a look at everything. And he's a huge fan. He's a huge fan. And Westbrook's like, no, he's not. You voters get such a bad rap.
Well, I mean, Yeah, that's. I mean, look, we have to accept that fate. Like if you're going to vote for the Hall of Fame, you're going to take heat. Like, and I used to like first couple of years that I did this, like I took it really personally, and I'm like, this is the way I do it. I go, here's a list of 15. Tell me who you're going to vote for, so I can rip apart your votes. And everybody's like, well, I go, and they start naming their names. I go, well, that guy's not as good as this guy, and this guy's not as good as that. And how'd you miss him? Like, that's idiotic. I can't believe you would leave him off. Are you freaking nuts? Like, you start doing that with people, and then they get the point. Like, this is really hard, man.
Yeah.
I mean, this is really, really hard. And
hey, Jason, is it harder to get to the 10 or is it harder to get to the 5?
it's all hard. It's like, I mean, like, yes, there are some guys who are easy. A handful of guys.
Kuechly's going to be a Hall of Famer.
He is. I don't know if Kuechly will make it this year because, again, he's got a little bit of a short career. You never know how people look at that. There's a lot of guys who've been waiting a long time in this group. You never know. And Kuechly is not. I mean, he's not Peyton Manning, right?
No.
He's not Charles Woodson either, right?
No.
He's probably not. He's closer to Calvin Johnson, and doesn't have stats that Calvin Johnson had, right?
Right.
And is not that human being, didn't come in with a nickname like Megatron, right? Where there was a presence to Calvin Johnson that we all had to kind of respect, right? So he's not like that. He's a little closer to probably, Joe Thomas, Darrelle Revis, who we had a long discussion on, was a little bit more iffy. So, but I think he's the best player in this group. I mean, if you're just talking about a guy who, you knew that was one of the best one or two linebackers in the league when he was right. Yeah, I think he was a better player than Zach Thomas. He just didn't have length of career that Zach did. So there's a difference in how their careers played out.
He was superior to Sam Mills too, in my opinion.
Oh, way better than Sam Mills. I mean, Sam Mills had a good, distinguished, long career, but Sam was a borderline guy, and got in, and the guys who supported him did a really good job. And we'll see about Eric Allen this year. Eric is in a big mosh of guys who are all about the same. The corner, like he's better than any of the guards that I think, except for maybe Marshall Yanda. And we got like 4 or 5 guards on that list. Wisniewski, Mankins, Jari Evans, who, I think Evans and Mankins definitely deserve serious discussion. Yanda's close to Kuechly, but he's a guard. It's a little bit different. But I think that Eric Allen, like you put Eric Allen up against a guy like Marshall Yanda or up against Luke, and Eric Allen looks really close to those guys to me.
Let me ask you a difficult question, and I know you're not on this committee. You're not on the senior guys committee, but and our friend Rick Goslin is on the senior list.
Uh-huh.
So this guy, is it Jim Trier played for Kansas City? He shot and murdered his wife and kid.
No, it's just his wife.
He shot and murdered his wife, and I didn't realize that he was like a 7 or 8 time Pro Bowler, and some are now making the case about him that he was, because of CTE, there was a lot of that with the conversation. Do these kind of conversations, in your opinion, how do you look at something like that? Because it's long overdue, according to many of the people. And, a lot of the guys that played with him in Kansas City say that he should have been a Pro Football Hall of Famer years and years and years ago. But, I mean, obviously this case here has kept him out of – I can see on your face right now you're not buying it.
No.
Okay.
No. This one's, I've been thinking about this one for a couple of weeks now, since I saw that he came out and made the semifinals. The resume is spectacular. All AFL, I think 5 or 6 times. All NFL All-Pro once, maybe twice. Football player, great. As an important story in the history of the NFL, that I think every owner and every executive and every coach and every player should know the story of Jim Tyrer, absolutely. If you are talking about enshrining him with the greatest players to ever walk the field and honor the game, it is a hard and fast absolute no. You can't. This is the most abhorrent act in our society. All right, that's number one. He took somebody else's life. And yes, we can make the argument about CTE. There are lots of guys out there with CTE. Sadly, it's a reality of our game. We don't have absolute scientific proof that Jim Tyrer had CTE, but I'll buy the argument that he did. I will buy it. Even at that, there are tons of guys with CTE who do not murder their loved ones or anyone else or convict violent crimes like this. So the answer is no. And let me add one more thing about this. Let's fast forward 15 or 20 years. And we find out that Darren Sharper had CTE. Are we putting Darren Sharper, a serial rapist, into the Pro Football Hall of Fame because we're making an excuse and we're creating some loophole for people? Now, look, it's supposed to be about what happens on the field. But there is a point at which the things that you do off the field matter. And I know that O.J. Simpson is in the Hall of Fame. That was the voters made their decision on O.J. Simpson before he ever did any of these things. The issue about O.J. Simpson is a matter up to guys like Jim Porter and the people who run the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But if you're asking me to vote on this man, it is absolute. It is forever. As I said, yesterday, today, and tomorrow, and forevermore, it is a hard and fast no. And I have great compassion for this. My father took his own life. I understand it. Okay? I get it. But no.
Jace, can you tell the story of the NFL without concussions?
No, it's a reality of the game.
Okay, it's a reality of the game.
It's part of it. It's part of the story.
This is tough for me too. This is tough for me because you're right. You're not, but aren't you supposed to take the emotion out of that vote and go with what that guy has done on the field? And I would think for me it would be impossible to take my emotion out of my vote. It would be impossible.
I don't even think it's a matter of emotion.
This is right and wrong.
This is what's right, what's wrong. And again, I'm not saying that, his family's forgiven him. I've heard those stories. I've heard about the CT. I've heard all that. And that's wonderful. And I'm glad. And again, I would hope that, Roger Goodell would listen to this and say, yes, this is required reading for everybody who's in this league to make sure that we protect and make sure that this doesn't happen again. It's absolutely true. Jim Tyrer has a place in the history of this league. He does not have a place being celebrated next to men who wear gold jackets. And I know we can come up with a bunch of different arguments about who's in, who's out, Ray Lewis, O.J. Simpson, all of this. but I know that this man killed somebody else. And if I'm the one making that decision, if you're asking me my opinion on whether he belongs in, I say no. Others may say yes. Others may have a capacity for forgiveness. And you know what? I got incredible appreciation for anybody like Rick Goslin or Clark Judge or Frank Cooney, who's not a voter anymore, but speaks highly of him, or Ron Borges, any of those who make the argument for him. They have incredible compassion. And
Ron made the pitch for him.
Yes, and that's an incredible capacity for compassion. And I get it. But there's a difference between compassion and empathy and celebrating.
How
chasm for me.
How hard was it for you to cast your vote then for Ray Lewis?
It was hard. It was hard. But I know, from having read everything and gone through it, I don't think Ray killed those guys. I think Ray was part of a.
Nor do I.
No, Ray was, and here's the other thing that's a difference. Those guys were defending themselves in some regard. Like, this is a street fight.
Ray told me what happened.
Yeah, bottles, like, people's lives are being endangered here. And there's a difference between that and shooting your wife 3 times. And again, Tyra was depressed. I get it. He had, again, I'll grant that he had CTE, even though there is no absolute proof of it. I will grant. Okay. I know that he had financial problems. I will grant all that. That is not an excuse.
No.
It is an explanation. It is story. It does not use and allow for that person to progress into the Hall of Fame, in my opinion. And that's why
there are so many guys like that in the past that you could make those arguments for. I mean, Big Daddy Liscombe, those kind of players too, that had all kinds of character comments. I just wonder sometimes for you guys, when you're talking about the emotion of the vote, how that just doesn't play in, because Jason, with the conviction you have, I mean, you would look at that guy and go, hey, look, man, because 15 years after the fact is what we're saying now, is that we're going to be softer on that because time has passed, and all of a sudden maybe it's kind of like talking about the Kennedy assassination today versus talking about it 35 years ago, where it was more and it was newer. People were probably a little bit more, it was recent bias with them when they were talking about that. Today, we talk it more historically, and that's kind of what we're doing here with Jim, right? This is more about the history of the league instead of the actuality of what happened at the time, and it kind of softens what happened. That's a tough vote, man. That, because I've talked to Rick. Rick says it's a really tough vote right now, and a lot of people are struggling with it.
Yeah, I've talked to a couple other people about it, and I'll let them speak for themselves if you ever talk to them. But I know how I feel, and again, I don't have I have nothing personal against the people who bring it up for discussion. It is very much uncomfortable, but I think it's at the end of the day, it's just unacceptable. This is not the kind of person we want to celebrate in the Hall of Fame. We want to recognize his career. We want to recognize his greatness. I get that, but we got to recognize the price he paid and the damage he did, and make sure that doesn't happen again ever.
Does OJ's enshrinement, even after the fact, is it an embarrassment for the Hall, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think that I understand the standards that the Hall has, and I also understand it's really hard to build a character component that is hard and fast. Because what is acceptable to one person, when, if you talk about Eddie DeBartolo, right? And people go, well, it's a felony and this, and you can get into all sorts of shades of gray and things like that.
I love Eddie.
And I do too. And I spoke up for Eddie, and I led a charge, that Eddie should get in. I was part of that group that worked hard to get him in the Hall of Fame. But I think there's a difference between a victimless crime, and one where there's clearly a victim, if not, in the case of some of these, multiple victims. I wish that the Hall of Fame would take OJ out, but I also recognize that, like, I don't know how you write the morals code, properly. But I think that we're getting to a point where it's like, look, there's a code of conduct that people who, for consideration, like, if you've done harm to somebody, like, you shouldn't be available. Like, if you're Darren Sharper, you forfeited the right to go into the Hall of Fame. Jim Tyrer forfeited the right. O.J. Simpson should be taken out.
Wow.
there should be a code of conduct. But that's my opinion, and I don't run the Hall of Fame, and I don't have to administer it, and I don't have to deal with all the problems. I can just spout my opinion.
Well, let me throw this last one here, and I'm going to ask you about last night's game in the Eagles. And one last one here. So Aaron Rodgers has been a very politically driven information, especially during the COVID time, when you could make whatever side of the aisle. I'm not trying to be myself political here, but he picked a side. And there was a lot of people who were angry, especially the league, and there were a lot of sports writers. I think the guy in Chicago said, I would never vote for Aaron Rodgers for the MVP. Arash, I think it was, said that I'm not voting for him for MVP because his political stance against the COVID-19.
Well, I think it had to do with him lying about whether he had been.
Yes, that's right. That's right. That whole stuff there. And do you think that will be brought up? Because he's a first ballot talent. There's no question about it. He's a first ballot talent. But do you think that would be brought up? Because if you look at somebody like Curt Schilling, his politics are keeping him out of the Hall of Fame. This guy's one of the greatest postseason pitchers of all time. Could that keep him out of being a first ballot?
I don't think so. I look, most of the stuff that Aaron talks about is just
kooky.
I mean, sometimes, look, Aaron's he's just smart enough to be dangerous, right? I mean, he's a Cal guy. This is what happens, right?
I've spoken like a Stanford guy. Okay.
Damn right. But like, he's a different political opinion. Like, okay. I mean, it was a stupid thing to do. It was a stupid thing to lie about, but it was a stupid thing in the grand scheme of things. I mean, this is not. I don't take it seriously at all. I mean, not one little tiny bit. I mean, like, cheating at the game is more of an integrity of the game thing, and I don't take the Patriots stuff that seriously. Like, I just don't. And the people who, like Bob Kraft, like, how's Ralph Hay? And I appreciate his piece of history. His role in this. But Ralph Hay owned a team for 4 years and got out because he didn't want to spend the money. Like, Kraft's
a Trump guy.
Kraft's not. Kraft doesn't have anything to do with this. Is not politics. This is about massage.
What, the massage parlors down in Orlando? Is that what this is really about?
That's what it's about. Like, Frank wrote a column. He's clutching his pearls about the massage parlor. I'm like, are you really serious? Like,
seriously, man.
This is what we're talking about. The cheating. Okay, I get it, but it was 7 titles. I mean, what are we doing here? I mean, what are we doing?
11 AFC championships, too, to add, because remember, Parcells won 1 too. I mean, this guy's been, since he took over and bought that thing from Victor Kiam, he has 11 AFC championships and 6 Super Bowls. Jason, how's that guy? I mean, come on, man. He's more successful than even the Rooneys.
It's insanity. And on top of that, like, save the franchise from moving to either Connecticut or St. Louis.
Bridgeport. They were going to move it to Bridgeport.
Right. Like, has worked hard in the league to negotiate a collective bargaining agreement. I mean, we can go through one thing after
TV deals.
built a new stadium. And I know that, I know he got, public assistance for that. But you were at Foxborough. You know what a dump that place was. Like, he's built.
Sullivan Stadium was a hole. It was horrible.
It's not even a hole. It's like it was awful. Like, I mean, it was a bad enlarged high school stadium. Like
Hey, Jason, when you got to go to the bathroom and you got to pull a chain above you, you're not in the right place. You belong in where horses go.
Yeah, like this. The things that he did to make that, that organization world class and to help the NFL, like, it just blows away Ralph Hay. In my view, like, the people who are big on Ralph Hay, he deserves a place, like there should be a permanent exhibit for Ralph Hay when you first walk in the Hall of Fame. It should have a big picture of Ralph Hay with, on the mobile, and I think it's there already, but it should be one of the most prominent things. Man was there at the beginning in Canton, called the meeting. But there's a huge gap between spending 4 years as an owner and getting out because I can't afford to do this. That is not we got people who were like, oh, he was a visionary. No, he wasn't. He was a businessman.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, trying to keep costs under control. That's what he was doing. And I don't blame him for that. But that's not legendary.
He was the Charlie Finley of NFL owners.
He's not even.
Yeah, right, because Charlie Finley won.
Number two, he did so many crazy things that, like, he's an over-the-top entertainer. Like, Charlie Finley was really truly a piece of history. And I don't know if Charlie's in the Hall of Fame. I don't think he is, and he shouldn't be. But in the Baseball Hall of Fame. But yeah, I mean, like, Charlie Finley's way ahead of Ralph Hay.
Oh, one of the greatest innovators. He was the creator of the DH.
Yeah, like and like, if I'm putting a guy who's an owner, it's got to be somebody like Hallis, or who's the guy? Was it Brown? What's his name? Walter Brown, out of Boston, who founded the Celtics, was part of the founding of the NBA for decades. Also was part of the NHL too, but worked at it for decades to build the league. Like, really poured his heart and soul into building the NBA. That's what George Hallis, a man who used to walk into the newspaper offices in Chicago, handing them stats and handing them information to promote the Chicago Bears to build the league. Who, George Hallis, who went to Green Bay and spoke on behalf of the Packers to encourage the citizens of that city to build a new stadium so that they could remain state of the art. Like, that's a dedication to building something. That's not Ralph Hay.
No, I completely agree here. Let me move on, Jason, to a couple questions here for you. For the Lions or Eagles right now, best team in the NFC?
Lions are still the better team. I think the consistency of their offense and the ability to get up and down the field gives them a slight edge. I will say Philly's pass defense right now is outrageously good. And I know it's sort of been building, and they have a lot of sort of weaker teams on the early part of that. But what they did against Baltimore and what they did in Washington, they went through that. We talked about that before that 3-game stretch. They went 3-0, and that was a solid 3-0. Now the Baltimore game is closer than you think because of the Justin Tucker misses and all that, but they really handled themselves well. The only problem is, I don't think they don't get up and down the field when they really have to, and they don't put games away offensively. Whereas Detroit, if you're not staying in the track meet with them, they're going to blow you out. And that's a consistency weapon right now. Like they were New Orleans when New Orleans won the Super Bowl.
Here's my all week long contention about the Eagles versus the Lions. Right now, they're like fourth or passing in the league, and they're like fourth in rushing. And like you said, they've got a dual threat backs where they're both on pace for 1,300 yards in Montgomery and Gibbs. And the receivers are very talented. They got maybe the best O-line, Jason, next to Philadelphia, and they got the best O-lineman in football in Penei Sewell. But here's the Eagles' problem. They got the number one rushing attack, and they're 28th in passing. And their quarterback, again, hasn't been asked, albeit you're 10-2. I get it. And there's some people that believe that's built kind of like Lamar Jackson's team, where you're really good during the regular season. And when you have to have a passing offense, if something, it's like baseball. You know, you have a great hitting team throughout the regular season. What always wins in the postseason? Pitching. If you don't have the pitching, you can't win a World Series. So to me, do you think Philadelphia can win a Super Bowl being so one-dimensional? Whereas you look at Detroit, or you look at even Kansas City, they could beat you throwing it. They could beat you running it. They've got a phenomenal quarterback. How do you look at Philadelphia? Because again, you know, Carolina's 29th. They're playing them this weekend. I mean, you're down at the 5 worst passing offenses in the league right now.
I would say they can. I would say, like, if you look at the NFC field, I think they're clearly better than everybody, with the exception of Detroit. Now, the 49ers are a weird case statistically where, like, if somehow some get it together and go on a roll here and win 5 straight, you know, I would say that's an interesting team because their defense is really good and they've got some tools. But I just think they're so banged up. I just think, A, that's impossible, and B, even if you get them to the playoffs, I don't know what they are, right? Like, they're not consistent enough, and they've been inconsistent all season, even in the games they've been healthy. So to me, it's, you got to get past one game in the NFC that's going to be hard, and that's the Detroit game. And I think that Philly plays them. I think Philly, if they get them in Philly, like, I just don't know how Jared Goff's going to react to having to play in Philly, like, in cold weather.
And those dome teams too, Jason. I mean, what? Colts, the Saints, the Rams back in the day when they were in St. Louis. Those dome teams, you know, they get in December and go outside. It's a different world for some of them teams.
Right. Now, if you have to go to Detroit, same kind of problem for Philly, except that Philly does have a really great, you know, they got great pass defense. So right now, to me, it's a really interesting game. And I think Philly's good enough to get past that game. And then so basically, if you're Philly, you got to win 2 games, is my view. They got to win the NFC Championship, and you'll see what comes out of the AFC. But look, Baltimore, they beat Baltimore. And right now, I think Baltimore, in a lot of ways, is better than Kansas City. Kansas City is just kind of getting by. Now, Kansas City, they got the quarterback and they got, you know, some horses, and they can turn it on and not be bored. But I don't think they're blowing anybody away. And Buffalo, as much as, you know, I think they've got some, you know, they're playing so well this year. I was not scared of Buffalo, especially in the game. Do you think that Buffalo's going to stop your running attack all game long? Like, Buffalo's not physical like that. So I like any of the matchups for Philadelphia. I'm not saying, you know, they're going to be the favorite in every single game, but I don't think they're more than a 3 to 4 point underdog in any game. They're not, you know, they're not sitting here going, oh my God, it'll take a miracle to beat these teams.
2 last ones for you. I got Saquon Barkley.
Last ones. Can I just say, every single time I got 2 last ones for you.
I know. Then I have to sneak another one in on you here. 2105. If Barkley breaks that record, it's a 40-year-old record. Is that good enough to supplant a guy like Allen, or maybe even golf? If golf goes 16-1 and they secure home field, could he win the MVP?
Yeah, Lamar Jackson's still in the discussion because he's got
Yep.
some numbers. Josh Allen, I think I like Josh Allen a little bit more than Lamar right now because he's like 5 losses is 5 losses. And I know it's
no
not,
doubt. No doubt.
but it is what it is, right? And when you're looking at Buffalo going 10-2 right now after losing a bunch of guys, and they were supposed to be taking a sabbatical this year a little bit, to clean up the salary cap. You're like, Josh Allen's been a man all season, right?
They cut $60 million off that cap by getting rid of really good players. And like you said, they're 10-2.
Yeah, they're 10-2. And when you watch them play, it's Josh Allen.
Completely.
Yeah. And so, look, I think Saquon, right now, I would go Josh Allen, number 1, Saquon, number 2, Lamar Jackson, 3, Goff, and maybe even Derrick Henry for the 4 and 5 spots. And I haven't put a lot of thought into the defensive guys right now, but I don't think there's any defensive guy who's off the charts. But it doesn't take that much to imagine Saquon, getting past Josh Allen. I mean, if he gets up over 2,100, 2,200 yards, and some of the stuff that he's done this year, yeah, that's a hell of a debate.
Finally here, do you agree that some of these organizations who passed on Belichick, like Atlanta, are maybe rethinking the fact that, hey, you know what? Maybe we should have brought Bill in here because now all of a sudden you see he's interviewing for the UNC job with such a smokescreen, which is all right. They're going to pay him a lot. If he ever took it, they'd give him $10 million down there because they have Michael Jordan Nike money. But, I mean, at the end of the day here, man, I mean, Mike Vrabel and Bill Belichick may be in a better position than they were a year ago when they got blown out.
Yeah, they might. I mean, look, it's going to take close to $20 million a year to get Belichick. That's what
That's what he was making his final year. By the way, he was paid that this year by New England, and that's what his salary was $20 million.
Yeah. So it's going to take 20. And as much as I think UNC is willing to blow it out, $20 million is a big ass number.
I mean, a huge number. The highest paid guy I think right now in college is 12. I mean, you're going to pay another $8 million. I know Carolina's got a ton of dough, but I mean, are you going to pay that guy $20 million to go coach against Wake Forest? Come on, man.
Here's the other with Bill. I like Bill. Are you really wanting to coach 18 to 22 year olds? Do you want to go kiss some kid's ass? I know that gravitas, but your boy Saban already got out. Saban, he didn't want any part of that. And it's North Carolina. And far be it from me to trash any program, but what history does North Carolina have?
Goose egg. Well, wait, Lawrence Taylor.
I'm talking about
nothing.
They got some players. I mean, everybody's got a few players, but they got no history. I mean,
I wonder if he took that job because of Lawrence Taylor. I mean, took that interview because of LT.
Does LT care about UNC anymore? Like, does
he Jordan makes him kind of care about it.
Okay. All right. That's cool. I mean, I like
Jordan, because look, the two greatest players out of that program are Jordan and Taylor. Okay, so I mean, he makes them care about it.
Think about that. They may have the greatest players in two different.
I know. And by the way, Mia Hamm went there also as a soccer player too. So she went there. So I mean, they've had some players there.
I'd never really thought about it that way, but they may have the 3 greatest athletes in American history. That's an amazing thing.
Yeah, with no sports history except for hoop.
What? Yeah. So it's just I just don't see. I think Belichick he wants the record. He wants to He wants to beat that record.
He's going to coach the Jets.
Oh, he will not coach the Jets ever.
Oh,
No.
He hates Woody. He hates Woody. I knew you'd say that. He hates Woody. He hates him. He thinks nothing. He thinks he's the worst owner in football.
Yeah, that's a hell of a feat.
Yeah. When you've got David Tepper in there, yeah. Hey, yes, he might take that Jacksonville job.
Yeah, he might. Trevor Lawrence is tough, but we'll see about that one. I think Trevor Lawrence wants to be good, which is enough. I'm not sure he has all the tools to be good, and I'm not talking about the ones surrounding him. I'm talking about his own understanding of the game. But that's a different issue.
Absolutely.
But I think he wants to be good. I just think Bill wants to set the record for wins. He wants to take his place there at number one. You can't get that close and not want to beat Shula. No. Especially if Shula trashed you at the end. Like, he's
the one that started the Belichick, and so he's the one that went after him and all that. And there's no doubt he has no love, absolutely no love for Don Shula, and him and Jimmy Johnson don't like Don Shula. And so both of them don't like him because Shula talked shit on both of them, and because Jimmy fired David Shula because that was his first offensive coordinator in Dallas when they were 1-15. And dude, Don Shula used to come to our practices. All the Miami Dolphin guys, they were such great friends. But Jimmy, after the 1-15 year, goes, as soon as the year ended, you're fired. And he called him on the phone to tell him. Didn't even have him come in the office. Don Shula was so pissed that Wayne Huizinga for having him take over for him, and then the fact and how he treated his kid. Yeah, David runs his steak shops now, his steakhouses now. And I've actually done work for those guys, and I love Don Shula. I'm a friend. I was very good friends with him.
Think about Chris Shula, Rams now. Look at he's doing a heck of a job.
Yeah, no, I like the kid. I didn't really know who he was, but you look what they have there. They brought Sean Desai in, and one thing about Sean McVay, he really knows talent when it comes to picking assistant coaches. When it comes to the defensive side, Raheem ended up getting a job. They won a Super Bowl. Wade did a hell of a job for him. They got to a Super Bowl. Wade's the coach of the year in that UFL thing. I mean, they do a pretty nice job there, Kevin Demoff and Les Snead, when it comes to hiring along with Sean. So, Jason, let me let you go, man. Thank you so much. Have a football weekend, my friend. I appreciate everything. That was so awesome today, talking Hall of Fame. Thank you so much, my friend.
Anytime, dude. Be good. Thanks.
You got it. That is our great friend, Jason Cole. Please do me a favor. Make sure you hit the like button. Don't forget our friends at BetUS. Great opportunity during this football season, folks. The YouTube 150. You got it, man. Sign-up bonuses up to $2K. Also, your second and third are 125%, and sign-up bonuses all the way up to $2K. Just go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. Live wagering on all major games, 24/7 personalized service, 365 days of the year. If you're looking for a personalized agent, they will take care of all your needs. Go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. And do me a favor, tell them Big Sil sent you.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Ignite your nights with free live entertainment daily, only at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia's Center Bar. 7 days a week, enjoy some of the region's top party bands, performers, and DJs as they take the stage in the heart of the casino action. Great cocktails, live music, and lively moments. It's all happening at Center Bar at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Visit livecasinophilly.com for more details and the complete list of upcoming events. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. counselor.
The following is a real testimonial from the father of a young injured victim.
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Major Perry's daughter was the victim of a horrific accident caused by someone else's negligence.
If you don't find the right counselor, law firm that you're looking for, you will get lost in the wilderness.
Badly injured? Call the Fritz and Bianculli Law Firm at 215-458-2222 and find out why they say, "We got this."
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
We noticed that there was mold creeping into our basement about a year and a half ago, and wanted to make sure that we were getting rid of the problem permanently. We actually reached out to several different contractors to get it resolved, and actually 2 of them recommended DryTech to us as a long-term solution. Other than the noise factor, we wouldn't even know that there was work being done on the basement level. It's really been a clean process for us.
Score and save this football season on your car insurance. Before the next game, save up to 40% on your auto insurance policy. That's right, 40% savings. Call an audible this season and contact the Del Val Insurance Group. They're an advocate for you, not an insurance company. That means they'll get you the right coverage and save you up to 40%. Call managing partners Fran or Jim of Del Val Insurance, 215-354-0122, or score and save at dvigi.com. dvigi.com.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sales National Football Show. How you doing? Please hit the like button. Also, all supers go to the top. Xander, if I missed any, let me know. Please hit that like button for us, guys, here on a Football Friday. And don't forget our pregame show on Sunday and our postgame show. We'll be there following the Carolina game. That will be on Sunday, early game on Sunday for you. So make sure you check us out. Please hit the like button. Couple things today that always stuck out for me here on December 6th. Today's Andy Robustelli's birthday. And Robustelli, as you know, is a family member and very close with Andy Robustelli, NFL Hall of Fame, New York Giant, former general manager of the New York Giant. Anytime you had any issues or any kind of questions that you ever had about playing ball or anything in life, you could always go down to his office in Stanford. And he's the guy that was really the godfather of that whole area. He's the guy that introduced me to Frank Gifford. He's the guy that introduced me to Jack O'Hara and all the guys at ABC and all that. I mean, he just was so connected into the entire area. Jackie Robinson and him were best friends. They were next door neighbors. Used to go to the Italian Center all the time up in Pound Ridge, where I'm from. And you could go, and I played with 3 of his kids at Catholic High. Really a great guy. I mean, he passed away. He would have been 99 today. Just absolutely one of the absolutely great people in my life. And I got it. I posted on my Twitter or on my X account. I got his New York Giants jersey. That is the stadium jersey that he wore that day when they were honoring all the Ring of Honor guys. And that thing was given to me as a gift after his passing. So I just got it, I'd say about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. And he gave that to me, which was really cool and really great. And by the way, Andy's the guy that introduced me to Chuck Bednarik back in the day when Chuck was alive. was really cool. I mean, all the people everyone goes like this. Well, Sills, how do you know so many people? A lot of that had to do with Robustelli. Okay, it really did. It had a lot to do with, I never forget. I go down to New York. I met him down for lunch. Guess who he's having lunch with? Rune Arledge. And they're sitting there talking, and I met Rune Arledge. That's how I met Rune Arledge. I met Rune through Jim McKay. And Jim McKay was a friend of Andy's and also a guy by the name of Doc Santinella that I grew up with. So I grew up with the McManuses. And Sean, as you know, who's been on the program about 4 times, was the chairman of CBS Sports and chairman of CBS Broadcasting, has been on. So all those guys kind of met through Robustelli. So, yeah, he passed away on this day. Or actually, he was born on this day on December 6th. Something that really cool happened on this day. By the way, Philly Godfather is going to join us. We're going to give you the weekend games on Saturday, the conference championship games, and also the NFL games on Sunday. Stills, should Dallas sign Milton Williams? Yeah. You need all the help you can get on D-line. Absolutely. I think you need some more interior D linemen. To me, Mozzie Smith, as much as you guys think that the guy's playing well, okay, I still think you need another body in there. I would go back and get another defensive tackle and maybe in free agency sign Milton Williams. Absolutely. Milton Williams would be a great sign for the Dallas Cowboys. And you know what? Dallas would probably have to overpay him. And I wonder what Milton would think about that. I mean, going to Dallas, there's a lot. That mentality nowadays doesn't exist like it did back in the day where, I'm not signing with Dallas. You crazy? I'm not going. Yeah, well, if you put $20 million or $15 million in front of me, I'll sign on the moon. I don't care where it is. They have no loyalty to players. Why should I have loyalty to anything else? I'm loyal to myself. Remember, you're an NFL Players Association member. You're not an Eagle. Now, Brandon Graham, Jason Kelsey, guys who played 10-plus years, that's a different room. Okay, you become part of a community, and there's no question. But when you're a player like Milton Williams trying to get the best money for your family, and you're trying to get the best number, it's nothing to do with Philadelphia. No disrespect. You gave me the opportunity, but I delivered a service for you. It's always funny listening to fans talk like that. Well, Sills, Philly gave him his chance. Yeah, well, guess what? He paid his service. He delivered for you. Milton delivered. He didn't underdeliver. Actually, he overdelivered. So he doesn't owe you anything. Milton Williams owes Eagles nothing. You pay me and I play and I produce. You don't owe me nothing. It's totally a business. Yeah, Washington would be good. Washington. Senor brings something up. Will Jerry open up the checkbook? He better. Because if he doesn't, Senor, they're going to be back in the same position fighting for 5 wins again. Dallas needs players all over the board. That's why I'd get rid of Micah Parsons. I'd trade his ass. Give me a couple first-round draft choices. Hey, Senor, you know what I would even do if teams didn't want to give me first-rounders? I'd take this. Give me a boatload of seconds and threes, 2s and 3s and 4s so that I can fill holes. I need to fill holes on my team. You need D tackles in Dallas. You need linebackers. You need old linemen. Zach Martin's not coming back. Okay? You need offensive tackles. You need a running back. You need wide receivers. Dallas's issues have to be resolved with multiple draft picks, not with one signing. The Cowboys made a gigantic mistake, okay, by waiting so long for those contracts. They spent their entire offseason, instead of evaluating the running back market, waiting to be a popular decision and waiting to be a media story by signing those 2 guys. Dallas Cowboys, their issues, you know what it came down to? They waited on Dak and CD too long, and they forgot to evaluate the running back position. They forgot to evaluate the free agent room when it came to many holes they needed. Why didn't you sign Brian Burns? Add him on the other side and put him on the other side of Micah Parsons. You could have brought that guy in. Instead, the Cowboys were dicking around, worrying about what public perception was about CeeDee Lamb and Dak. If I'm Dallas, I'd move off of Parsons. Get me a boatload of draft picks. I got a ton of holes that I need to fill. This is going to be one of the coolest weekends in all of football, and I'll tell you why. The conference championship games in college football are on Saturday. So we're going to get to that. But also, we're now starting to figure out who the best 4 teams are. Right now, would we not say this in the AFC? Kansas City and Buffalo. And over on the NFC side, we would say what? Detroit and Philadelphia, correct? Those look like the best 4 teams. Well, let's find that out right now. And one of my favorite segments of the week, our friend, the legendary Philly Godfather, joins us now. We appreciate him stepping in. How you doing, brother? And by the way, I hope Turkey Day went great last week.
Yeah, we got the combination, Greek food, Spanish food, the best of both worlds. It was a great time. How was your Thanksgiving, Dan?
Oh, man, it was great. My wife makes a maniac turkey, man. She does. And the thing, we ate every single thing but the bone. I mean, holy shit, it was just great. We had such a good time. And you know what my favorite time is that no one bothers me. That's my favorite holiday. Nobody bugging Big Sills. I get to watch some football. I get to hang out. So to me, my solitude is my favorite holidays. That's what I love about it too. So anyway, hey, last night, if I were to ask you, who's the best team in the NFC, Detroit or Philly, who would you take?
When they're fully healthy, Detroit.
Yes.
Detroit. Right now, it's a coin flip. The Eagles are the much healthier team. Detroit's got some issues in their backfield. Some guys are banged up on the defensive side of the ball, but they'll be fine by playoff time. I just don't know if anyone can score with Detroit. I mean, they can go up and down the field like butter. And Jared Goff's having another great season. Offensively, best team probably in the league is the Detroit Lions. And when they get healthy on defense, they're going to be pretty good. I still think they got the second lowest points allowed in the NFC this season, and they've played one more game. So the Eagles defense with Vic Fangio, I mean, he's done a great job. When they were 4-2, if you remember, you asked me about what I thought about this Eagles team compared to last year's Eagles team that started off 10-1. And I said I felt a lot more comfortable with this year's Eagles team. They're not frauds. They're for real. The defense is for real. Saquon Barkley took the ball out of Jalen Hurts' hands. He's no longer a turnover machine, Jalen Hurts. He's passing, 19, 20 times a game. They're playing some really smart, smash-mouth, old-school football. And in the fourth quarter, you watch those defenses. They're huffing and puffing, and you see Saquon Barkley just running right down the field and scoring. So this is a much better Eagles team from last year.
What do you think? What are the odds right now on the Eagles compared to the other teams that we mentioned in the field right now? Are they one of the top 3 teams right now to win the Super Bowl?
Yeah, the Lions are at plus 270. They're the odds-on favorite. And then it's the Eagles, Bills, and Chiefs at plus 500. So they're the 4, juggernauts. They're the 4 teams that the odds makers in Las Vegas who put, back their opinion with millions and millions of dollars. They think they're the four best teams in the league. But a team like Pittsburgh, you can get them at 22-1. A team like the Vikings, who have one of the better defenses in the NFL, you get them at 17-1. So the value is really on those 2 teams right now if you're looking to place a wager because, this is a war of attrition. And if some of these teams like the Chiefs, the Eagles, the Lions, or the Bills get a little banged up, you got 2 teams like the Steelers and the Vikings that can sneak right in there. But as of right now, it's the Lions, the Eagles, the Chiefs, and the Bills.
Is the prop bet for Barkley to win the MVP, is that a good bet in your opinion, especially with what, hard to break that 2105 depending on what the landscape is, if you've locked it up or not, how far away you are. You do get an extra game compared to what Dickerson did when he was back in 16 games when he got 2105. Still, is that a good prop bet taking Barkley for the MVP award?
It's become a quarterback's award, and Josh Allen right now is the odds-on favorite. I think he's like minus 150. You can get like plus 300, I think, on Barkley right now. I haven't checked in a couple of days, but he's got the second best odds to win the MVP. In my opinion, I think Barkley's made the world of difference. Obviously, Josh Allen, maybe the second best quarterback in the NFL, but without Barkley on this Eagles team, I don't think they're sitting at 10-2 right now. So it's close. It's close.
How about this? I've been saying this all week, and of course, Eagle fans, they end up getting their panties in a bind when you say this. That passing game is not improved.
No.
Okay? I mean, it's the same as it was a year ago. The only difference is that he's taken more sacks and he hasn't turned the ball over. And the guy, like you just said, Godfather, it's Barkley. He's improved it. He's the one that's carrying the mail. The Eagle offense, when it comes to their passing game, they're 28th in passing. I mean, they're number 1 in rushing. When you take a look at the Lions are 4th in passing and 4th in rushing and like 5th in passing. They're way more balanced as a unit when it comes to spreading the ball around. Last night, he spread the ball in the first series to 6 different guys. I mean, there's a total difference there with that. So do you agree? The offense really hasn't improved. Barkley's improved it.
The passing game hasn't improved, but it's become more efficient. They're still top 5 or top 7 in yards per pass attempt. So the running game has opened the field for Jalen Hurts and has helped him make better decisions. And the passing game it's still strong now. He's not throwing for 300 yards and 250 and whatever Jared Goff is, but it's a lot more efficient than it was last season. I think they're 5th or 6th in yards per pass attempt. So that's a good sign. To me, the biggest difference is the turnovers. Jalen Hurts ain't turning over the ball left and right. And that's what wins you games in the NFL. And this Eagles team is a lot more efficient than it was last year. It does look more balanced to me, even though they're not throwing for as many passing yards. It looks stronger, and I feel more confident that this team can hold on to the ball. They can hold on to the leads now with Saquon Barkley running the ball. And that was a big thing last year. You know, if they couldn't get the running game going, teams would come back on them. Where this season, it's a lot more difficult to do that to the Philadelphia Eagles.
What's the odds on Hurts winning the MVP?
He's not even. I think he's like 20-1 or 25-1. I got to double check, but yeah, he's out of the running. It's Josh Allen, it's Jared Goff, it's Barkley, Lamar Jackson, and then you got Mahomes and all the other guys. But yeah, he's not even close. I mean, he's not having an MVP season. He's not. Listen, he's an elite football player. He's not an elite quarterback. You know, and I say it all the time. But he's good enough to get you there. You know, Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl, and Jalen Hurts I think is a lot better than Trent Dilfer. He gives you more ways to win. You know, so it doesn't mean you can't win a Super Bowl, you know, with Jalen Hurts. It just means he's not a Mahomes. He's not a Justin Herbert. You know, he's not one of those guys. He's not a Josh Allen. But that doesn't mean he's not an elite football player. And that doesn't mean on 4th down, when you got to get that first down, they're not going to, you know, run that push and tush and get you that first down, which is huge extended drive. So, you know, I love Jalen Hurts. He's a football player, but he's not an elite quarterback.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Sunday's games. That's something there.
I don't know why.
No, I agree with you 100% because you go like this. Hey, he's an elite football player. He really does a nice job doing what they're asking him to do. But if you're going to sit there and tell me that guy's Jared Goff even, and I'm not a gigantic Jared Goff fan, he's not. He'll never be that.
No. We don't need him to be that. We don't need him to be that. Just don't.
But you know what? Don't tell people that the quarterback's a little different because what they do is, what do you mean? He's not Josh Allen? No, Josh Allen has nobodies to throw the ball to. And get this, like you said, I mean, Jason Cole just said this. Do you realize that the Buffalo Bills whacked $62 million off their salary cap by cutting every defensive player on their team and then got rid of Stephon Diggs, and they're still 10-2.
Yeah, they're better than they were last year.
They're better than they were a year ago, and they whacked all them defenders and had to get $62 million off the cap. And this, I mean, can you imagine the Eagles taking $62 million? That'd be like Lane leaving and AJ leaving. That ain't working for you folks. Anyway, all right. I want to go through some of these games because some of these games are going to have jobs implicated here. Jacksonville, Tennessee, anything in this game for you that you see that's worthy of anybody making a bet on this thing here? Or is this just one of those games, stay away from it because everybody's playing for April right now?
I mean, the Jags are the healthier team going into this matchup. I mean, they both had disappointing seasons. I think they both have the same exact 111 negative point differential. Levis, he's been playing some good football since he came back in week 10. I think he ranks like 4th overall against, all quarterbacks in the league He's averaging about 8 yards per passing attempt. So he's playing a lot better football. I think the Titans win. I'm not looking to lay 3.5 on them. I think they put up some points, though, because that Jags defense is really banged up. I think if you go over the Titans team total, like 21 or 21.5, I think you cash a ticket. But I'm not running to bet this game. You got two bad teams. You don't know who quit, who didn't quit. But I definitely think the Titans are the better team going into Sunday.
Do you take Miami at home here against the Jets? Because you got to feel the Jets are looking for April. And I know Woody Johnson, the owner, right now is doing two things. Looking at Band-Aids right now, and he's looking at trying to fix his Jets next year. So, I mean, is that a smart bet, taking Miami into points at home?
I don't know. I mean, you're right. The Jets' offensive line stinks. Rodgers, he looks like he's 40 years old. He's got no mobility. When that pass rush is coming, he can't get out the way. The Jets really don't travel well this season. I think they're 1-4 straight up, and the only team they beat on the road this year was the Tennessee Titans. The Jets have covered the spread only 25% of the time all season. So, like, you can't invest in a team like that. I mean, the only edge I see for New York is that they're slightly healthier than Miami on defense. But both defenses are banged up. If anything, I kind of like the over a little bit, but I'm not looking to lay 6 points on Miami here. It's a big number, man. You've watched teams all season, and they've had a tough time covering, as 7-point favorites. And this is almost a touchdown in a division game. I don't know. I'm not looking to rush to bet it. You know?
How about this one here? If Atlanta doesn't show up with Kirk Cousins, do they go to Michael Penix next week? Because he's been struggling as of late here, has Kirk Cousins. And, dude, how about Minnesota, man? Do you know Minnesota has given up only one more point than what the Eagle defense has given up this year with Brian Flores? I mean, they've given up 219 points. The Eagles have given up 218 points. Yeah. And they're 10-2 with a chance to pull into that 3 spot. I know it'd be a wild card, which is the 6 hole in the NFC playoff race, but they could run their record to 11-2 on the season. Who would have thought that with Sam Darnold? Who do you got here? And it's in Minneapolis.
Yeah, before the season started, the Vikings expected win total, I think it was like 6.5. It went up to 7.5. So no one expected this team to be this good. But, I mean, that coaching, it makes the world of difference. You see what he's done. They've become very efficient, and they've done it with Sam Darnold. When it comes to the Falcons, it's hard putting your finger on the pulse of that team. It's hard betting on them. They've beaten teams like Philly and Tampa Bay twice, and then they'll get blown out to Seattle and Denver. So it's hard to gauge which week to jump on the Falcons and which week not to. The Vikings, on the other hand, they've played the more consistent football all season. They've got some quality wins on the year. They beat the Packers. They beat a healthy Texans team. They almost beat the Detroit Lions. They lost by 2 points in the game they could have won. So they're definitely the better team. Man, this is a tough one. The Vikings, I mean, the Falcons are ranked a little higher than the Vikings on offense when it comes to yards per play, but the biggest disparity between the two teams is on the defensive side, like you just mentioned. The Vikings are so much better. But both teams turn the ball over a lot. But then again, on defense, Minnesota has, I think, 13 more takeaways than the Falcons do. So they make up for it with their 2 corners that are playing lights out in that defensive backfield. It's tough. I mean, you're grabbing almost a touchdown. You got a hungry team like the Falcons trying to make the playoffs. Minnesota's a little fat right now. They're sitting in a good position. I think they win the game, but I kind of like the Falcons +6, man.
Is this a stay away game, New Orleans and the Giants? I mean, here's another April game here. I mean, dude, Brian Dable may be out of a gig, and New Orleans is looking for a gig. I wouldn't be shocked if John Gruden gets that New Orleans job because of his relationship with Derek Carr and with Mickey Loomis and the Benson family with Gail Benson. I wouldn't be shocked he gets that gig. But, I mean, is this a stay away game? Do you not care about it? It's in the Meadowlands. I mean, New York right now is fighting. Right now, I think if the draft were to go right now, I think New York, who would have thunk this? Think about this for a second. Both New York teams, and I've been bringing this up the last 2 days, could have attributed to the Eagles winning the Super Bowl by giving them Micaiah Becton and Saquon Barkley. Wow. And right now, I think in the draft order, the Giants have the number 1 pick right now. And that's from moving off of Barkley. What a disaster New York has been this year. And I'm talking not just the Giants, but the Jets, but the Giants as well.
Yeah, I mean, the Saints are a much better team. They're laying 5 on the road, which is a big number on the road against the Giants. I don't know if both these teams gave up on the season, but the Saints do have a much better point differential on the year. I think it's like 91 points better. Giants' run defense is a little banged up, so that's going to be a problem. They lost, their top defensive lineman. I'm not looking to bet it, but if I had to, man, I guess the Saints, man. I'm not looking to bet this game, but laying 5 on the Saints, you probably cash a ticket.
Well, Crab Cakes is starting to play pretty well, called Jameis Winston, and that goes back to his FSU days, and it's Pittsburgh at home. Pittsburgh is fighting in that AFC for home field advantage, and you got to try to chase down Kansas City and Buffalo here. But one thing about Cleveland, since they put Winston in there, they want to play. You know, I mean, they're going to show up here, and this is one of those AFC North matchups here where, guess what? I mean, every time I watch Cleveland lately, Godfather, when I watch them play, they're showing up to play. So how do you see this game? Because I think this will be a pretty tough one here.
Yeah, how do you not love Jameis? He threw for almost 500 yards.
Unbelievable.
I mean, he's amazing. And 3 of the last 4 games that he's started has gone over the Vegas total. So their scoring has definitely seen an uptick. Their offensive production numbers with him on there. If he didn't throw interceptions, he'd be one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I mean, he's got a rifle. But I think Pittsburgh has this game circled from a couple of weeks ago when they lost to Cleveland. I kind of like Pittsburgh here. Russell Wilson's playing lights out. He's looking really good. He's not back to the old Russell Wilson, but he's getting pretty close. Anything under a touchdown, I kind of like Pittsburgh here, man. It's a revenge game. If you can lay 6, Pittsburgh probably covers the spread.
Well, once again, I have to say it, and you were dead on. The guy who's having a better season than Jalen Hurts for the second year in a row is Baker Mayfield. Mayfield's on pace for 36 passing touchdowns, 4,500 yards passing. Believe it or not, I mean, it's remarkable in what Baker has done this year. And check it out. Here's something else to look at. He's at 71% completion percentage, too. And his football team is now starting to get some people back. They're hosting the Raiders coming into town. They're still fighting down there in the NFC South to make the postseason. But once again, Mayfield having a better year than Hurts. How do you see this here? Buccaneers, do you take him at home?
It's a big number. It's 7 points, man.
By the way, he beaten Hurts the last 2 straight times. I want to add that in too.
Well, they beat the Eagles and the Lions, I think, by 17 points.
Yeah, right.
When they were healthy, when they were 100% healthy, the Buccaneers were dangerous. But in this game, I kind of like the Raiders here, plus a touchdown. I like that kid who's quarterbacking for now, O'Connell. I think he's an upgrade at that position. Both path defenses, they're banged up, and they haven't played well recently. And like I talk about it every week, how hard it is to cover a 7-point spread as a favorite in the NFL this year. I like Vegas plus 7, and I think they put up some points. I like the over 46.
This game here, man, I don't know. I think this is a coin flip game. Seattle at Arizona. I mean, one week I look at Arizona and go, I love them. Next week, you're like, they got beat by that. Yeah. And Seattle does the same stuff. That NFC West is as weird as it gets right now. I don't know who's going to win it. At the end of the day, you may have a team even under 500 win that thing. Yeah. Who do you like in this game? It's in Phoenix.
I mean, last time they played Seattle, beat them by what? 10 points, 16-6. But if you go through the box score, Arizona had more total yards. They had more passing yards. They averaged more yards per play. Their pass defense was a little banged up going into that matchup. This time around, both teams are, from what I read, 100% healthy. They're ready to go. They're at full strength. And revenge game, division game, it's as tight as it can be. I kind of like Arizona here at anything under a field goal, and I think they put up some points this time, unlike the first time when they only put up 22 points. I like the over 43 if the line keeps dropping. It up at 46, it's down to 44. If it gets to 43, I'll probably go over. I like Arizona minus 2.5 and over 43.
Buffalo at the Rams. Holy shit, man. I mean, here we go. They got to travel across the country, and they've got to play the Los Angeles Rams there at SoFi. Buffalo, if you look at their numbers, statistically, they're playing pretty good defense, too, on that side of the ball, even with all the guys that they had to get rid of. And the Rams have kind of wobbled up and down here. Even though Stafford is one of the better quarterbacks, you got the MVP candidate heading into this game. What do you like here with this one?
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious. Buffalo's the much better team. They got the much better point differential in the season. And as much as I love, Matt Stafford, Josh Allen's the MVP right now, the entire league. The Rams do have the better coach, I think, in my opinion. And like you said, they're at home. Buffalo's got to travel, 3,000 miles? That's never easy. The Rams are fighting for their playoff lives, where Buffalo's got that division wrapped up, even though they want to get home field throughout. So they're a game behind the Chiefs. But I think the Bills win this game. The hook scares me. The line's 3.5. I'm hoping it gets down to 3. I know there's some sharp money that took the Rams at plus 3.5. But if it gets down to below 3, I might look to buy it down to 2.5. I think the Bills win the game. I haven't bet it yet, but the Bills are just a much better team.
How about this one here? I think people are going to be shocked when I say this to you. Chargers and Chiefs at Arrowhead. I'm going to take the Chargers here, and I'm going to tell you why. How about the fact that if you had to guess what team has given up the least amount of points in the NFL defensively this year, it's the Chargers. They've only given up 188 this year. They run the ball. They've been playing lights out on defense. And I got to tell you, man, they could stop the run, and they play well against the pass, and that Derwin James can ball.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, the way Kansas City has played, they've been so up and down. They've even were in a tight game against Carolina. Listen, I know I should put a gun to my head here because this is insane betting against Mahomes, but I like Jim Harbaugh in this game here, and I think that defense is set up to stop them.
Yeah, I mean, they got one of the better defenses in the league. You're getting 4 points with the Chargers. It's kind of scary betting against Mahomes at home, but the Chiefs really ain't covering, the Vegas number this season. They're below 500 when it comes to covering the spread, so they haven't made anyone any money this year. The only thing that scares me a little bit is the Chargers' pass defense going into this matchup a little banged up.
Yep.
This is a much better Chargers team than it was the first time they met. I think it was in Week 4 when they lost 17-10. I mean, since then they've gone 6-2 straight up. So, yeah, the right side's probably taking the 4 points with the lightning bolts. I kind of like the Chargers too, +4.
So, Dallas, you know what this is going to be on Monday night. This is going to be the hope game. Okay, if they get to this, then they're 6-7. Okay, there's a shot for them to get to 500 before they have to take on some tough games down the stretch here. But they're Cincinnati. Their season's over. Even though Joe Burrow's having a historic year where he may throw for 50 touchdowns this season, Duke Tobin and those guys have done a shit job with that defense. I mean, it wouldn't shock me if this is one of those games, but Joe Burrow versus Cooper Rush. Tell me why I should take Dallas.
I don't know. Line's 6.5. Road team's favored by 6.5. Bengals defense can't stop a nosebleed. Cowboys got a backup quarterback in there. But the Bengals have what, like a 5% chance of still getting in? I don't think they're completely eliminated. 6.5 on the road. It's a big number. But the Cowboys' pass defense is it's limping going into this game. Oh, man. You know what? I like the Bengals a little bit. I'm a glutton for punishment. I've bet them a couple times this year. I've lost every time with them. But the Cowboys, they're not that good, man. We talked about it before the season started. I told everyone to go under 10.5 wins. I told them that team was definitely going to regress. They're not that good.
You know what? Here's what sucks what we did, or what I did, I think. I picked the Lions to win the Super Bowl this year, but I also picked them to play the Bengals, I think. And we were right about the offensive side. We just didn't realize their defense would fall off the planet the way it did. I mean, really, Joe Burrow might throw for $5,000 and 50 touchdowns this year.
It's crazy. It's one of the greatest performances of a quarterback on a really, really bad team. And you saw how many games have come down to the last possession that they've lost. It's been a very unlucky year for them. But again, if you can't secure your offensive line and your defense stinks, you can be as great as Joe Burrow and you're not going to win games.
I got 4 college conference championship games. Iowa State at Arizona State for the Big 12 championship. Arizona State's played great in the second half of the season. Right now, they're in the tournament. In your opinion, Iowa State, Arizona State, who do you like to win the Big 12?
Iowa State was the 1-point favorite, and it's actually flipped now. Arizona State's the favorite. It went up to like -2, 2.5. It's going back down to -1, 1.5 in the market. There's some real sharp money on Arizona State. I'm on Arizona State. I bet them on the money line. I think Arizona State gets the job done here.
Georgia at Texas. This is the game of the weekend here with the big high-ranked guys. SEC championship game in Atlanta at the Mercedes Dome. I think Georgia wins it all. But then again, you got Texas with a lot of great talent. That 100-man roster, 85-man roster is as good as any roster in all of college football. How do you see this puppy?
Tough game, man. A lot of early public money's all over Texas. I think right around 75% of the money's on the Longhorns. So, Vegas ain't giving out free money, but Texas is really good. They got some good wins against who? Michigan, A&M, Oklahoma. But then they lost to Georgia by 7 points. I think they turned the ball over 4 times in that game.
Yep.
I can't see that happening again, Dan.
Yep, I know.
You can't. The only thing that scares me about Texas is their left tackle's a little banged up. But I think he's going to play with that kid Banks, right?
Yep.
And he's an NFL. I mean, he's going to be in the NFL next year.
He's going to be a top 11 pick.
Yeah, he's solid. So if he's healthy, I'm not sold on Georgia. I can't see Texas turning the ball over 4 times again. It's hard betting against Kirby Smart, in big games. Man, Texas is a 2-point favorite. Ugh. I wish the line was 3. I'd probably look to take Georgia, but at anything under the field goal, I kind of like Texas a little bit.
The Big Ten title game in Indianapolis. Well, anytime you have James Franklin coaching, I'm always going with the opponent's team, the opposite team there. So I'm going to take Oregon versus Penn State. If James Franklin is coaching at a game that matters, I'm always betting against him, and I'm taking Oregon. I don't care if it's 50-point spread. I'm taking Oregon.
The bad thing is, statistically on paper,
Penn State's good. Yeah, better. Yeah.
Yeah, like the defenses are a wash.
Yeah.
Offensively, both teams average, I think, like 6.7 yards per play. The game looks like it's a toss-up. But when you look at the teams Penn State's played, I think they're just 6-6 against the Vegas number. But every time they stepped up, they played Ohio State, they couldn't cover the spread. They played Illinois, they couldn't cover the spread. And then you look at Oregon, they beat Ohio State, and they covered the Vegas number against Illinois. When it comes to the two most important positions on the field, quarterback and coach, I like Oregon. I think they got a huge edge there. I'm not a big James Franklin fan. If you can lay 3 on Oregon, it's probably the right number. I thought this line was going to come up a little higher, like 5. It's 3.5. But I think Oregon just has a much bigger edge at the quarterback position, at the coaching position. And like I said, I'm not a big fan of James Franklin.
Clemson, SMU, ACC championship. SMU's played great ball. They're ranked 8th right now in the country. Clemson's come on as of late. They always find their way into this game. SMU right now with an opportunity to be one of the top 4 seeds and get a bye in the opening round if they win this game here. Who do you like in this one?
Yeah, they're not giving SMU a lot of respect. Line opened up 1. It's up to 2, 2.5. I laid 1 on SMU. They got a top 10 defense, in my opinion. They've outperformed the market. I think they're 8-4 against the spread, right around 67%. If you look at the teams they beat, they smoked Pittsburgh by 23 points. They beat Louisville by a touchdown. And Clemson actually lost to Louisville. And they barely beat, I think they beat Pittsburgh 24-20. Mm-hmm. So I kind of, Clemson obviously is tough to beat. But I think SMU is a little bit of a sleeper here. I think they won the game.
Great stuff. You could check him out on his website. You could check him out also on Twitter. He gives all the latest numbers and some of the games that he didn't put a number down right now on, but he'll give them to you later on as they get into the week. My friend, it is always great catching up with you. I love this segment. Thank you so much for you doing this each and every single week. Thank you.
Bet the Bears +4 and bet them on the money line. They're going to beat the 49ers this week.
Woo! Very good. Thank you, Godfather. I appreciate it.
Good luck, guys.
You got it. That is our good friend. Don't forget, our friends at BetUS. Our friends at BetUS give you an opportunity for the YouTube 150, my friends. That's right. Don't forget, sign-in bonuses up to $2K. Your first is 150. Your second is 125%. Your third is 125%. All the way up to $2K. BetUS.com.pa. That's BetUS.com.pa. 24/7 personalized service, 365 days of the year, live wagering on all major games. Do me a favor, go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. Do me a favor, tell them Big Sil sent you.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Ignite your nights with free live entertainment daily, only at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia's Center Bar. 7 days a week, enjoy some of the region's top party bands, performers, and DJs as they take the stage in the heart of the casino action. Great cocktails, live music, and lively moments. It's all happening at Center Bar at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Visit livecasinophilly.com for more details and the complete list of upcoming events. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The following is a real testimonial from the father of a young injured victim.
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Major Perry's daughter was the victim of a horrific accident caused by someone else's negligence.
If you don't find the right counselor, law firm that you're looking for, you will get lost in the wilderness.
Badly injured? Call the Fritz and Bianculli Law Firm at 215-458-2222 and find out why they say, "We got this."
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
We noticed that there was mold creeping into our basement about a year and a half ago and wanted to make sure that we were getting rid of the problem permanently. We actually reached out to several different contractors to get it resolved, and actually 2 of them recommended DryTech to us as a long-term solution. Other than the noise factor, we wouldn't even know that there was work being done on the basement level. It's really been a clean process for us.
Score and save this football season on your car insurance. Before the next game, save up to 40% on your auto insurance policy. That's right, 40% savings. Call an audible this season and contact the Del Val Insurance Group. They're an advocate for you, not an insurance company. That means they'll get you the right coverage and save you up to 40%. Call managing partners Fran or Jim of Del Val Insurance, 215-354-0122, or score and save at dvigi.com. dvigi.com.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Mike McCarthy, 304. Mike McCarthy coaches the Dallas Cowboys. I got 38-10 Eagles on Sunday. Okay? And by the way, I have Georgia winning the SEC championship, and I have them winning that, and I do have Oregon beating Penn State for the Big Ten championship. So, guys, great stuff this week. You guys were great. Please make sure you hit the like button. I can't thank you enough for you guys coming aboard. We appreciate it with all of our heart. Big Joe, thank you. Xander, we thank you very much. 2 to 6 on Monday, but don't forget also on Sunday, the pre- and post-game show here on JAKIB Sports when we follow up on the Carolina game and right before the Carolina game. Make sure you check us out. Have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you on the flip side.